Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Might help if I actually add myself to the stream. Hello, everybody. What's up? Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. Hi, Tamara. Hi, Dina. Sexy Wild Thing. Carol Freaking Claus. Hey, BG. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, K-Braze. Hi, Tactical Dragonfly. Hi, Tony. Mrs. M. And Princess Megan Elsa. Hey, Steph, the Army Bit. Let's see who else is up here. Hi, ATS. Hi, Stephanie. K-Bros. K-Bros. Hey, Bonnie. Hi, Erez. All right, let's go back down, see who's showing up now. Hello, Pointer Lover. Oh, thank you. I'm exhausted. I rewatched these old pressers the other day, and man, they make no sense now. That's kind of what I wanted to. I wanted to be able to go through. Hi, Lucia. I wanted to be able to go through them and kind of go through some of the old info that we had, and I was running a little bit late because there's an audio file that I had downloaded and it's lost in my computer somewhere, and so I was trying to find it again, and then time was running out, and I was like, I'll find it while we're live. Hi, Water Loving Dog. So I know a lot of people have probably watched these like on their own, or like they're like, yeah, I know all this stuff, I don't need to rewatch it. But for me, I'm always a firm believer in, especially when we get new information as big as we've gotten lately, is to go back and listen to what was said and see if it does make any sense, or if it just doesn't make any sense at all now. I'm always a firm believer in going back to the beginning. I think the best information that we get when it comes to any case is given within that, that first time frame, because there isn't all the gag orders and all the legal mumbo jumbo that's mixed in with it yet. It's normally very raw, and that information is typically more honest and more reliable, in my opinion, than other information. So, for me personally, I always like to go back and just listen to what people have to say and how they have to say it, because sometimes like it doesn't make sense to us then, but it might now that we have more information. But yeah, ATM. Well, I think that's probably why we're friends, because that's how we do things. Hi, Ramblin'. Hi, True Crime Crazy. Hi, Angels Lie. Ginger Snaps. You haven't missed anything. We just started. I was a little bit late. J.E. Everett. Apunta. So, one of the audio files I was looking for is, if you guys are like overly familiar with the case, like there's like some of this is just a refresher, but some of it, like I said, I just want to go back and re-listen to some things and look at some of the things that we knew that we might make a little bit more sense now. But the audio file that I was looking for is actually the dispatch audio from the day they found the girls. And I have it downloaded on my computer, and for whatever reason, I don't know what the hell I named it, and I can't find it now. I have the transcript, but I was hoping to be able to play it. So I'm still going to look for it. Hi, soul sister. Hey, Mary Jane, Music City mom. Because I'm in love with Mary Jane. Hi, Corey. I'll make sure I didn't miss anybody. So I wanted that, but like I said, I don't know where the hell it went. So we'll have to find that as we go. But first, let's kind of just go over a little miniature timeline of what happened so we can kind of refresh our memories on what actually went down. We know that on February 13th of 2017, the girls, Abby and Libby, ended up not having school. So they asked Libby's grandma if they could go to the bridge, and she was like, I'm not taking you guys right now, basically. And so they asked Kelsey, which is Libby's sister, and she said yes. In one of her interviews, she actually states like she always told her no, and so she felt bad, so she decided to tell her yes. So they say like, as long as you can get a ride home. So they go and ask Libby's dad if Libby's dad can pick them up, and he says sure. So then Kelsey takes them to the bridge. Her car is actually seen on the Hoosier Harvest Store camera at about 1:49, which would be right after dropping them off. So we know at 1:49 in the afternoon is when they arrive at the trail. Let me see if I can pull up those. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And then at 2:07, we know that Libby had her phone out and was taking pictures. And I thought I had a side-by-side, but I don't know where it is. Libby was taking pictures. She took a picture of the bridge by itself. I don't have it side-by-side, but I'm going to pull it up for you this way. So she takes a picture on Snapchat of the bridge itself, and then she takes the picture of Abby on the bridge. A lot of people think like there's like a Photoshop that's like going on with these photos. And like I told you guys from the get-go of this whole thing, you could go down so many rabbit holes and you'll never come out. But if you guys are familiar, it's like Snapchat has like so many filters that I'm not a believer that it's photoshopped, but you know, hey, what do I know? I'm not a photographer. So, so then these have been like over analyzed to see like, can you see BG in these photos? You know, the ones that like to do like reenactment of this, like they go through and figure out exactly where they're positioned and so on. So these were screenshots that were taken later of the Snapchats that Libby had posted. Now, these, if you guys remember, like this was actually originally called like the Snapchat murders because of the Snapchat pictures and video. So while she's doing these Snapchats at 2:13 is when they capture the video of Bridge Guy. And this is all open for a lot of discussion because obviously the only audio that we get is, you know, guys down the hill. That's the part that we hear. First we hear down the hill, then we get the added guys down the hill. But there's been a lot of rumors and speculation about what else is heard on Libby's video. They have told us it's 43 seconds long. A lot of people believe that it's actually longer than that. Problem that I have with that is the police can lie to the public. Like they can go on a press conference and they can lie. They can lie to a suspect. They can lie to a person of interest. But for them to lie in court documents and say that the video is 43 seconds long makes me believe that they're just lying in court documents intentionally. I mean, that's going to throw everything off that. So I choose to believe that it probably is 43 seconds, unless there's a second video. And remember, so the video itself is not all video. Part of it is only audio, and it is assumed like Libby probably put it back like in her pocket, And like, so she's still capturing the sound, the audio, but not necessarily video anymore. Hi, Dolly Bear. You got to lie to keep control. Well, I just don't. I mean, they're going to have to present that evidence. It's not like they can't really hide it. So that's one of the things, like when they talk about like all this other evidence that we're talking about that possibly is like being like hidden, and that the prosecutors are trying to like kind of like push it down so that it's buried in discovery, is a lot different than saying, hey, here's this actual piece of evidence that's 43 seconds. So that's kind of what I said. Like I believe it's probably 43 seconds. Where they muffled it out to me, it sounds like one of them is saying, oh my God. See, and somebody else did a whole video saying they think that's, does he have a gun, or he has a gun? And they do like a whole thing where they like slow it down. And I have to cough. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. I didn't want to cough in all your guys' ears, especially you guys have like headphones in. Okay, so we know that they're dropped off. We know that the photos are taken at 2:07. We know that the down the hill video, the video portion, is at 2:13. And then we can add in some of the times that have to do with like the other documents. But right now I'm just trying to go through like just basically that day. At 3:30, Libby's dad is there to pick them up, and they're not answering the phone. So then he starts calling other people, trying to figure out like, hey, have you guys heard from them? So on and so forth. And nobody's heard from them. So then the family is coming out, and they're all walking around and looking for them, and there's no sign of them. So at 5:30, they call the police, and the police come out and take the missing persons report, and they start looking. The sunset is about 6:30 that night. So they stay until around 11, and then they leave. A few officers and a few citizens decide they're going to continue to search on their own. So they stay out there the majority of the night. Law enforcement, as in the search crew for law enforcement, doesn't come back again until February 14th in the morning. Now, when the girls are actually found, hi, malicious intent. Hi, squeaky wheel. When the girls are actually found, they're actually the people who spot them are on the other side of the river the creek from where they are. Hi, Allie. The story has been that the searchers on the opposite side saw something like happening over in that area, and one of them brought out their cell phone and like zoomed in, and what they saw was like 2 deer, and they believed that they saw the deer, and then when they were looking at these deer, they believed they saw Abby and Libby's bodies. So they called, and a separate search party on the other side of the river, on the same side the girls were on, actually went over, and they're the ones who found the girls. So there's always been like a huge, like, who actually found the girls kind of thing. So they are the ones who actually went over and actually found the girls, and then called in and said, we've got the girls. So I want to show you guys. Do I have that? I might actually have that in my downloads. Maybe that's where the other thing is. It might actually be there. So this is, I'm just going to put this up on the screen so you guys can see it. I'm not going to have the sound on. But there's always been a lot of talk about like helicopter footage while they were searching for the girls. This is just so you guys can see like the area. I'm not zooming in or trying to look for anything right now. Like, I'm not doing that. So just so you guys have an idea of the search, why I try to find where I stored this freaking audio file. So RTV6 is like the local news station. Hi, Crime Sleuthin. And you can see that this is the 14th, the day that the girls are found. So it'll give you just an idea of the area, how big the search was. Might be this one. Yes, I have looked at this footage for hours. I have. Yeah. Okay, I think this. No, that's not going to be it. Nope, 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 nope. No, don't play. That's not mine. That's somebody else's, and I don't want to play that. That's not the one I want. Go back there. Okay, it's this one, I think. Let me bring this back to full screen. Yes, absolutely. Where's the bridge from here? I can show you on the map too, so you can kind of see. Let me see if I can make this smaller. So the bridge is actually, the bridge is here. Like the trailhead is up here, and then the bridge goes down here, all the way down. So they are dropped off here, and this is where they come. This is the trailhead. So this is where it's like kind of a dirt path. And if you ever see pictures of, if you ever see pictures of like the memorial that people have put up in the area, it's like on the dirt path before they actually hit the actual bridge. So they cross over the bridge, and then they're down the hill comments, and then here, and then they say they would have had to have crossed over Deer Creek. It was originally reported that the bodies were actually located up here, but then when the PCA and everything came out, they actually gave us the coordinates, and so the girls were actually found right here. So here's the cemetery, Ron Logan's house. Eventually, some point, I'll put on this is 300 North right here. So we always talk about that, and this is where Sarah Carbaugh supposedly saw the man in the tan/blue jacket, muddy and bloody, is walking right here. So the old CPS building was up here. So it would have parked in here. So people assume that he would have left through the cemetery and then walked on 300 North, going that way. Ginger snaps. Yeah, I know, right? Hi, Candy Cane. So Libby was wearing a tie-dyed shirt that day. I don't know that Abby was. I thought Abby was wearing what she's actually pictured in. Hi, Quinny. Oh yeah, no problem. I'm not going to go through all the details because, like I said, you're talking 6.5 years of a lot of info. So I'm just trying to kind of give a generalized rundown of what happened, so that we can go into the press conferences and you guys, we all know. So here you can see them, like they're searching the water. Yes, there are shacks and barns nearby. Yes, both. They didn't put all of Libby's clothes on Abby, just some, which is weird. We're going to go through that too, because that seems to be all right, there's some confusion on what articles of clothing were what. So you can see they're doing a water search. They, I think this is going to be the one that I want. So we're going to try this one. I think this is the right one.
79601 to 79602. When I left that group, I was already dressed out, and I came up closer to the scene. Okay, we are loaded. We're getting a vehicle to take us all up there as a group. Just driving everybody up there separately. Yeah. I got the pickup that's going to take us up there versus bringing several vehicles. So we'll be up there in just a minute. No hurry.
Okay, so one of the reasons I was going back through like this footage too was because they talk about in the new information that they left all the sticks and they left all the, they left the F on the tree. So on some of this old like reporter footage, we should still be able to see some of that stuff, right? Oh, that's not what I want. So I'm gonna go back there. So then I'm going to pull up the transcript for you because that's where most of the other information comes from. Now I just have to find where I put that now. No. Here it is. Okay, so they switched to a private channel. And the girls were found at approximately 2:12. I think it was actually reported that they were found at 2:12, or not 2. The girls were found around 12:12, according to like dispatch, but it wasn't actually reported. I think probably because of the whole being on one side versus the other side of the creek, and then having to actually, when law enforcement comes to confirm it. So at 12:17 is when it says they were found. I could seriously just lose it again. Okay. So you have, I'm going to read it to you guys verbatim so you guys can just hear what it says. So at about 3:03 p.m., they have, we have found some underwear with an evidence bag. So, or we have some underwear with an evidence bag. So just stand by there. They're on the way. They're coming through the water, by the way. Clear. At least 2 people with evidence so far. So you found more. What's the second thing you found? Because I'm only seeing 1 evidence bag. I have a cigarette butt in the water that's less than 2 to 3 days old. Okay, copy. We need 3 more evidence bags if someone could bring them. Stand by. We'll bring 3 more evidence bags. Did I copy 3 more evidence bags? Clear. It says, this is when what you just heard, I was already dressed out and came up closer to the scene. This is at 12:27 to 12:57, so earlier. We are getting a vehicle to take us all up to the unheard. Okay, pick us up there instead of taking several vehicles up there. We will be up there in just a minute. No hurry. 8:45-ish, just had citizens stop by our area, advised the girls have been found in the water. Can you confirm that? We have no confirmation of that whatsoever. Be advised, it was John Weaver that told him that. Repeat, we have no confirmation of that whatsoever. 601, hold all your traffic. I am up on the scene now. You are requesting a crime unit? Affirmative. To the Delphi incident, requesting you to go 300 north. Then the scanner goes garbled and so on and so forth. So essentially what we hear is when they're finding the girls, and then it goes silent. Hi, Lolo. So they supposedly took pics, Rhonda, because that's what the defense is looking at, saying that they believe it looks like the symbols and the runes from Odinism. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys that whole, just that's basically essentially when they're found. So as we go through the press conferences and we go through like the old documents, you guys will kind of know at least like the smaller piece. Like I said, there's so many other things. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to cover right now. But it'll give you guys the idea as we start to go through like the older press conferences. So let me pull the first one up. I thought that they had like a little press conference at a table that I cannot seem to find. So if somebody actually remembers that along with me, it was like on the 14th or the 15th, and it was like very informal, and they were just sitting at the table like almost like a long banquet table. Do you guys remember that? Am I thinking of a different case? Does anybody remember that? I thought it was like right afterward, but I couldn't find it. Oh, I guess before we do this, I can show you guys. I showed you guys this the other day too, but I'll show you guys again. So there is a channel called Gavin Fish, and so he also has like a website. If you guys are familiar, he's done a lot with Delphi, and somebody had sent him these photos. And I showed these the other day. You don't remember a long table? Okay. Maybe I'm thinking it was the first presser and had 3 cops. That's what I think, and they were all sitting at like a long banquet table. Kathy, is that the right one? It's like I couldn't find it, so I was thinking. Hi, sweet Melissa. When 2 teenage girls go missing in the woods after a day of walking, is it common for law enforcement to call the search off because it's getting dark, no flashlights or spotlights in Delphi? That's a great question. And from my memory, I don't think they actually went back until like 10 a.m. I don't think they went back at dawn. I think they went back at like 10 a.m. Oh, water loving dog, perfect. Like I said, I'm really we could do this case forever and go down every rabbit hole. Right now, I'm just trying to give like a general little synopsis. This is very, very miniature. Adjusted fate. See, you remember it too. All right, I'm gonna do one more search because that's technically the first. Actually, you guys, if you guys don't mind, you guys are gonna search. Okay, if you guys search, I'm gonna show these pictures then, and then if you guys don't find it, I'll search one more time because it was literally like either the day they were found or it was like February 15th, and it was very informal. So an anonymous person sent Gavin Fish these photos, which is he even talks like on his website, like he did not personally go through and vet any of it. He's putting it out there so that people can see it. He says the photos are taken by a civilian prior to the arrival of police, showing the black Nike shoe, a white pair of underwear, and a tie-dye shirt. So, and then they sent the metadata of each of the photos that they took, which I thought was pretty interesting too, because at least it shows when and where they were taken. So here you can see the black Nike shoe, which is believed to have been Libby's shoe. So, okay, let me just double check real quick to see if I can find that informal press conference. Let's see, ISP on February, I'm going to go with the 15th, 2017. Let's see. If you guys do, if somebody does find it, can you send it to my email at criminality187@gmail.com? I'm starting to think I'd lost my mind. Press conference, 2 bodies found outside. Is it on YouTube? Press conference, 2 bodies found outside. Yeah, this is it.
Riley, I'm with the Indiana State.
This is it. Thank you. It is, and it's from the 14th. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really thought I was like, I swear it had to do with this case. Like, am I really like losing it? See, okay, it's not, I guess it's really not that long of a table. In my brain, it was longer. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. Okay, so this one is actually from the day they were found. Turn it up. That's why I said it's like really informal.
Tim Riley, I'm with the Indiana State Police. I'm the Public Information Officer from the Lafayette Post.
Steve Mullen, Delphi Police Department, Chief of Police.
Topaz, I'm the Carroll County Sheriff.
Basically, we're going to make this, it's going to be short and sweet. We don't have that much at this point in time. Basically, what we've got, we have found 2 bodies. Is that the Sugar Creek?
Deer Creek.
Deer Creek, sorry. In Deer Creek, about a mile east of town. We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play. We have not made positive identification of the 2 bodies, so we're not going to be releasing any information on them at this point in time. We've got the Indiana State Police is assisting the Carroll County Sheriff's Department and the Delphi City Police Department in the investigation here. We also have the FBI Crime Scene Investigation Group here out of Indianapolis. And one thing the family asked us to do is to thank all the communities around Delphi and the people here in Delphi for assisting in attempting to locate these the 2 young children that were missing earlier. They just wanted to say thank you to those people, and thank you. They were just wanted to express their gratitude toward the hard work that was done in helping search for these children.
Has the search been called off for these 2 teenagers?
Not officially, because we have not positively identified the bodies at this point in time.
You have people still searching the woods and creeks and fields.
We still have, there's still people.
There's still people searching because they're looking for evidence, which we know because of the dispatch. But they're saying they haven't positively identified them, which I understand the legality behind that, but obviously they had.
Out looking, but it has been scaled back. I mean, let's put it that way.
Are the bodies of the 2 individuals recovered, are those of young female children?
I'm not at liberty to give that information out as of this time.
Who found them?
I'm not going to say at this point in time.
Why do you believe that there was foul play?
Just the way the bodies were found. That's about all I can say at this point in time.
Were they in the water?
They were on the edge of the water, from what I understand. That's about the best I can tell you.
Any outside injuries?
There you go. They were on the edge of the water, according to the day they were found.
I'm not going to make a comment on that at this time.
What time were they found?
That I'm not sure. They were on the edge of the water, from what I understand. That's about the best I can tell you.
Any outside injuries?
I'm not going to make a comment on that at this time.
What time were they found?
That I'm not sure. 12:15?
12:15.
About 12:15 this afternoon.
Are there any either suspects or persons of interest being questioned at this time?
We have not gotten that far into the investigation, so I cannot comment one way or the other.
Sheriff, you are from this community. Talk about the toll this search and this apparent recovery has taken on your county?
It's been a long several hours. It's played tremendously on the emotions of the community, but the plus is, the positive is the outreach of love and support for the families involved. I think that's been fantastic. Speaks highly of our community.
You've talked to the families, there's been no identification, but we could hear that this was a sad meeting.
There is some sadness, yes.
How long do you think it's going to take, of what you know so far? How long do you think it's going to take to positively identify these
I can't speak for the coroner. He's the one that will take care of that part. That's not something I can give you that information at this point in time.
How far down was it from the bridge? Downstream.
Probably more than a mile, or less than a mile, rather.
I'm going to say somewhere between half and 3/4 of a mile. I'm guessing the road curves back in there, so it's really hard to tell as the crow flies how far it is, but I'm going to guess about a half to 3/4 of a mile back there.
It wasn't that far from where the search started. You mentioned hours of searching, hundreds of people. So were they not in plain sight in that area, that it would have taken a long time for you guys to find them? Were they?
We really don't want to comment on that at this point in time.
Are there any?
We don't really want to put out too much information at this point in time. Something I will do, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to probably put tweets out approximately every hour on updates. It may be as much as that I'm just going to say we have nothing new at this time, but I will try to do that for at least the next 4 to 6 hours.
How do you suspect, do you presume that these are the two people you were looking for?
I really can't comment on that at this point in time.
Were there any visible injuries or other signs of trauma to the bodies that were discovered?
We're not make any comment on that either. I know we're not giving you much. I understand that, but I mean, we're just at baby stages of this case. At this point in time, I cannot release really much more information. As soon as I can, I will be more than happy to put stuff out.
Who's the lead investigator?
Carroll County is actually the
Sheriff's
lead.
Office.
Is it fair to say the search has been drastically scaled back?
Correct. I will say that, yes.
Sheriff, are you classifying this as a homicide investigation at this stage?
It's a death investigation with unknown sources.
Chief, you have not said anything that this is your town. Talk about the impact this has had on your town.
It's had a terrible impact on our community. The people who participated in the search, people who have participated in all the efforts to try to find the victims in this case are very much appreciated. But I know that's had a terrible effect on our people, and we are grieved this sort of thing would happen here in our community. I am pleased to see the community come out and help us the way that they have. I'm very pleased to be part of a community that has done everything they have done to help us out in this case.
Going forward, you're going to do everything, obviously, you can to find out who was involved in this. I know earlier when we talked, pretty much all the law enforcement's been holding back tears because these young girls and families and the whole search is really taking a toll on you. So are you going to do everything, exhaust every option, just like you did in the search, to find out who was involved in this?
Yes.
Anything to say to the community?
Huge thank you.
Yes, thank you for all their help.
Should people in the community be afraid right now based upon what you've seen and you know?
I think people are smart enough in our community to draw their own conclusions about what they should feel and shouldn't feel. Our people are very smart. We have a very good community, and they are very strong. And they are able to draw their own conclusions about this whole situation, I think, quite successfully. Thank you for the question.
Because, and the reason I ask is I hear the words foul play suspected. and people might be wondering if there's somebody running around this community preying on people that they need to be afraid of.
I understand what you're saying.
Should they be?
I do. I think people are able to draw their own conclusions about this situation, and they are smart enough to figure out that what the situation warrants them to think. So that's all we have to say about that.
And you said you scaled back the search completely, so the hundreds of people, even they were coming up a little bit ago, can I offer my help? Can I get back out there? At this point, do you guys not want more people heading out in that area? What's the advice for people who do want to be involved in the search?
They can continue to help in the way we need the assistance at. I am not at the scene and I'm not aware of what's going on out there at this point in time, so I can't really say what we're going to use them for. We may be just telling them we thank you for your help, and we may just be sending them back. So, you know, again, it's we believe what, you know, you believe what you can, and then we got to go with the truth that we have. So that's what we're working at.
One final thing, you started off with a statement about finding the bodies. You said Shrewsbury. Can you say that over again with the right creek?
Deer Creek.
The bodies were found in the Deer Creek area, just east of town, about a mile from the 3/4 to a mile east of the, what is that? The
Freedom Bridge.
Freedom Bridge. I know I didn't help you much there, but
It's not from Freedom Bridge or the Monon
High Bridge.
High Bridge.
I'm not sure which bridges.
They're two separate bridges.
I know. So
Yeah.
which-
Freedom Bridge is on on the Heartland,
Yeah,
and
okay.
High Bridge is
It's-
the bridge
it's
that's right
back.
up that used to be the
Yeah.
railroad
So how
bridge.
far from High Bridge? I think that was the last known location.
Within probably 3/4 of a mile or so.
Okay, and how close were they to the area where they were supposed to be picked up by their relatives?
Within that 3/4 of a mile. So
Okay.
Is that with the flow of the creek or against the flow? of
it
the
would be
creek?
upstream.
Upstream against the flow of the creek.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That's really all we got right now.
That's really all. Yeah, no, that's hold on. I'll tell you. Oh shoot, they don't actually say his name. Yeah, no, that's not Doug. I can't remember his name though off the top of my head for whatever reason. This is later. That one's later. We don't want that one yet. We need the one from the 22nd. That's the newest one. Why did I lose that one? Shit. Oh, here we go. What the hell did I do? Before I actually go to the next one, I'm going to pull up the quote-unquote leaked screenshots of David Erskine. So David Erskine is Abby's step-uncle. It's Abby's mom's stepbrother. And I actually don't know if I have these saved in order. So we're going to just go through them. I don't think I actually have them saved in order. So I'm just going to show them to you guys. If you guys happen to know the order, feel free to shout it out, because I don't actually know if I have. I don't think they're in order. In my opinion, they had to get rid of the FBI before they found the RA, yeah, quote unquote, found the RA, quote unquote, tip, because they knew the FBI wouldn't support charging him. I agree with you, and I actually agree with you more now than I even thought that before, because the fact that the crew of 3 were all part of the FBI task force, and they were still investigating this whole other avenue. And I don't think the FBI would have been in agreement. And when did the FBI actually kind of get scooted out? Around the middle of 2021-ish? Which is they were still creating interviews, they were still making their reports, all of that. Hi, MK. Well, Steph, thank you. I tapped out bombs in there, man. Yeah, I will do my best. If it offers it, I'll do my best. Yes. And thank you for the super chat. You didn't have to super chat me to get me to do that, though. I'll do that for you anyway. Hi, Idaho Charlie. Okay, so the person who's talking to David is in blue, and then David is in gray. These have never been confirmed, as far as I know, by anybody to actually be legit, but the information has mostly come to fruition. So you have to you determine what you think of it. But these have been out there. I mean, you can even Google these, and these are out there, which I probably should have done. So I got to give them to you in order, but I didn't. So David, you told me you found the girls. I just want to confirm the second person with you was Ivan, and the third was a lady. And he says, no, my sister's husband. And then we called 2 county deputies, Drew Yoder and Darren Giannicola. I'm not exactly sure if I'm saying that correctly. David says, no, I'm fine. Me and my other sister's boyfriend are the ones who found the girls Tuesday. Not much worse you can show me. So he was on the side of the creek with the girls. Hey, Shane. He says, whoever did it targeted Libby for sure and knew what they were doing with Abby. It was personal with Libby. Now that you know more about the crime scene, what do you think of that? Person says, yes, I heard Libby had most of the injuries, but it could be that she was trying to defend Abby. She was bigger. He said, Libby's head was an inch away from being taken completely off. Abby was stabbed in the heart and an artery in her neck. David says, they were not bounded. They were touching, but not tied together. Abby was dressed and Libby was nude. Libby's top half was covered with leaves and sticks, almost like they were trying to cover her. Person says, but you said there was no rape? If there was no rape, there's no DNA. Said, correct. I don't know why she was nude, but I read the coroner's report. The only DNA would be from Libby's fingernails because she fought like hell. Says, yes, maybe it is the DNA they are referring to. Please let me know if there's anything else. If I come across anything, I will contact you. Remember, I said these are not in order, so take it for what. So you got to remember that. It says not even close. He says, okay. So the person says, okay, so this is a sick rumor, and I'm sorry to have to show you this. Thanks for letting me know. David says, no, that's not her nor Libby. Abby was placed there on the ground like a doll, hood up, hands folded, wearing the same clothes as the pic from the bridge. I think that's all of them. Oh, here. Coroner's report stated everything was over by 3:30, no rape. But I was told the report was not released. Becky Patty told me the families have not been told whether they were raped or not. He says, and she lied to you. Also, Abby survived until the next day. She tried to crawl away. So take that for, like I said, what you want. These were leaked text messages that were with David Erskine, who was Abby's step uncle. That's interesting. I also find it suspicious that for almost 6 years, with the help of the FBI, with all their resources, it went unsolved, and suddenly Ellie solved it by themselves. It is, Tony. It really is. I feel very strong about making sure anyone who has served knows they're appreciated. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the comment about about crawling away is from the person who's texting. So that person is getting quote unquote info and then trying to verify it through David. So that's not what David says. So just take that, like I said, take that for what you want. Let me get you the next one. Nope. Nope, we already did dispatch. Don't need that one anymore. Okay. So here is
Evidence in this case is led.
The next one. So this is more formal, and it is from February 22nd of 2017.
Behalf of Sheriff Tove Lisenby of the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, who's the lead agency in this investigation, Delphi Mayor Shane Evans. I would like to welcome you.
Okay, hold on, I'll pause it. So this, and if you are familiar with the case and have gone down the rabbit holes, Shane Evans, they talk about Shane Evans a lot. So he's the mayor of Delphi, and many people believe that he is actually on the dispatch audio, and people believe that, you know, have compared him to Bridge Guy himself. This right here, this guy is an important player in everything that we've read. This is Jerry Holman. So he is consistently there. So pay attention for that.
By Indiana and Carroll County.
Hi, Aaron.
If you would allow me a little bit of latitude here before we get into the meat and potatoes of the press conference to give a couple of thank yous, I would like to do that now for this facility today. And I would like to thank the media for their patience. I understand there's information that you would like to get to your subscribers, get out into the media. But as you know, we have information as germane to our investigation that we have to keep close to the vest, because this investigation is too important to make any mistakes and give out the wrong information. So again, I thank you for your support and your patience as we go through this case. There are a couple of acknowledgements I must introduce today, a couple of folks, department heads that are here. We have Delphi Mayor Shane Evans, Carroll County Prosecutor Rob Ives, Carroll County Sheriff Tove Lisenby, Delphi Police Chief Steve Mullen, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Greg Massa, and Captain Dave Burston, Chief Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police. Obviously, the reason we are here today is to give out information in the double homicide of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. On February 13th, Abigail Williams, 13, and Liberty German, 14, went on a hike at the Delphi Historic Trails. On February 13th, they were reported missing later in the afternoon when they failed to return to a pickup location as a family member returned to pick them up from their hike.
I sped it up a little.
After organized searches on February 14th, one of those search parties unfortunately found the bodies of the two teens. Evidence in this case has led investigators to believe this is a double homicide, and that's what we're investigating at this time. Also shown in front of me is an enlarged depiction of a person believed to be the suspect in this case. We are actively looking for this person. We believe this person is our suspect, and we would like any information, regardless of how small or minute you might believe that information to be. It might be the one piece of a very large puzzle that helps us get this person in custody. So please call our tip line, 844-459-5786. And again, I would like, as we go through this press conference, to remind the media, there's going to be information that is germane to our investigation that we're not going to release today. But at the end of the press conference, we will have time for question and answers. So as we go through our speakers, I ask you.
I'll put up on here so you guys actually have it. Hold on one second. Let me make one. This press conference is February 22nd, 2017. So, and then when it switches, just if I don't change it, somebody remind me to change it.
To please hold your questions to the end of the press conference. So at this time, I would like to invite Indiana State Police Superintendent Douglas Carter to the podium.
Words tend to escape during these periods of times, and I've only had a couple of other situations in my lifetime where I'm able to stand before you and say that. Why Libby? Why Abby? Why Delphi? Why Carroll County? Why the region? Why the state? Why even the nation? I say that because this is a classic example and a clear example of evil lived amongst us. To the family, the community, the region, the state, as leader of the Indiana State Police, I say, I am so very sorry. Resources. It's unlikely that any of you will ever see, nor will we ever see or experience again, the level of resources that are attached to this investigation. To the media, my gosh, all I can say is just to give you my sincere thanks. See, this isn't like TV. There's a perception that this can be solved very quickly. Anything that we do can be solved very quickly, but this is a testament that it can't, and we need you. We've needed you since last week. We need you today. We need you tomorrow. And likely we'll need the media all across this nation. So from a simple guy like me to you, I say thank you. To the people dressed funny like me and those that represent the law enforcement profession, please understand we're human beings just like you. I stand anywhere in the nation with people standing behind me. And I would suggest to you that every time something like this happens, a little piece of us dies as well. But I also want you to understand how committed we are as a collective one, and we will continue. This has been briefed all the way up to the director of the FBI, Director Comey, and Greg Mass is going to talk a little bit about that. I've had an opportunity to speak to my boss, Governor Eric Holcomb, a couple different times about the situation. And every time I do, I see this look that comes over his face, just like yours and his communities. And that's the unfortunate experience of experiencing evil. We're not stopping. The poster in front of you. Someone knows who this individual is. Someone knows who this individual is. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy that lives over at that one place that just kind of not right.
I gotta pause this really quick because this is a part that I was thinking as I was re-listening to this. I was like, wait a minute. You guys had like 10 tips saying it was Brad Holder. You had over 15 tips saying it was Ron Logan. So you know this person. Is it your neighbor? Is it your... You guys, is it too fast? If it's too fast when he's talking, I can slow it back down. It's up. Yeah, that's for you guys. I listen to almost anything I listen to on 2x speed, so I am totally accustomed to it. If it's too fast for you, please just let me know. This is only 1.5. I can go down to, I'll go down to 1.25. We'll try that and see how that goes. I can't, Steph. That's what I was saying in chat earlier. This one doesn't have any closed captioning.
Maybe it's just jeans. Maybe it's his jacket or a sweatshirt.
Tan jacket, blue
Maybe it's a shirt
jacket,
tail.
black jacket, black jeans.
Maybe it's his posture. Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. You see, even with technology, we need human intelligence. In other words, we need you. I'm not suggesting that science, that everything that we can do with science has been done, because we are just getting started. Abby and Libby deserve us. They deserve every single one of us, and not just the people standing up here on the stage that have given so much of their lives to not just this, but to this profession, but each and every one of you. Each and every person listening, watching, or seeing this in some form, we need you. Libby and Abby need you. Please do not rationalize tips away. Rationalize what you think that might not be important away by thinking he would never do that to another human being. Or think what I know doesn't matter. Let folks like the people that are standing behind me with such incredible passion and commitment and dedication to this profession make that determination. Tips are anonymous. Some might not want to talk about it because they don't want to get involved, because they know the individual. Again, he may be a family member, probably has family. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. There's not an agency on the planet better than helping us facilitate this than the FBI. And they're as entrenched in this as anybody. No one will know. As poor as this picture is, somebody knows. And if you're watching, we'll find you. Who's next? I hate to ask you that question. I'd give my life to not have to. But I know you've asked yourself that very question. We must recognize it. You see, we're all the same. We're all human beings. We must keep our resolve for Libby and Abby, for this community, and frankly, to ensure that good trumps evil. And it will. You're going to hear more in just a minute about what we know. Do not discount the voice that you'll hear. We will stay committed with resolve, very rarely exhibited with human behavior until this conclusion. Please be patient. Become our partners and communicate with us as often as you can. And now, from a very humble servant, that's the most blessed guy on this planet to represent the profession that I represent, to Abby and Libby. It's my hope and my prayer that you're now experiencing God's promise of eternal peace.
At this time, I would like to invite Greg Massa, Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI, to the podium.
Okay, see, these press conferences really just kind of bother me with the blowing so much smoke. Out of all of that, what did you get? What did you get? And this isn't just a Doug Carter thing. This is a in general thing. Is they like to sit there and they like to thank each other and just how great the cops are. Oh my gosh, you guys are so great. You guys are so great. You guys are so great. It just always bothers me. I'm like, I understand that they all appreciate, each other and the work that goes into these things, but it's like, and then you, the media, I don't know. I just feel like I'm being gaslit all over the place. Like, the public, I hate it. It's like, give some information. The guy in blue is fighting back tears so hard. Which one? This one? Oh, this one. Yeah, I don't know who he is. If anybody knows who he is, drop it in here. Yeah, too many Chiefs. I agree with that. Well, yeah, so Betsy gives the second sketch, which technically is the first sketch, the second sketch released, but there's still a third sketch out there. that we've never seen. There's a whole nother sketch of another person that was in the area. And probably more, because we know that Teresa Liebert gives a description, and they have a sketch from her. But why don't they have a sketch from the group of girls? Right. That's it. Like, why is that Greg Massa right there in blue? Huh. Yeah, I agree. You get a new car, and you get a new car. Yeah, a bunch of back scratching festivals.
Good morning. As the Assistant Special Agent in charge, my role is to supervise and lead the FBI's criminal investigations across the state of Indiana. 9 days ago, we had an agent that was participating in the search for the missing victims. And from that moment until this morning, we have stood shoulder to shoulder with our law enforcement partners here. The FBI plays an important support role in this investigation.
This is Greg Massa. This guy, right? Yeah, Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie. Yeah, she's related to his wife, right? Yeah, this is Massa. I was talking about who's this guy in blue. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, Holman. This is Shane, the mayor. This is Holman. They were asking about the guy in blue, and I'm not familiar with who he is. This is FBI, Greg Massa. And then he looks like Tobe over here, but it's not Tobe. That's Liggett. He looks like the cowboy that got out of the minivan in the Branko Burger King. Hey, you never know. You never know. Guess who owned a purple PT Cruiser at the time of the murders? Oh, a Justified. Who owned a PT? Who owned a purple PT Cruiser? Yeah, I'll show you Liggett. Here. That's Liggett. That's Tobe. There's Liggett. He's a lot thinner now. And he's aged quite a bit. Yeah, and what is his name? And that's Tobe Lesenby, whose wife is related to one of the people who gave a sketch that we've never seen. And then let me see if I have let me see if I have Holman somewhere. You can see Holman pretty well, though. He's right here. You see him a lot. Do I have him up somewhere? No. That's Liggett. Here. Jerry Holman. Here. Here's Jerry Holman. Right there. That's Jerry Holman. It's like the lead investigator. You've heard these names a lot, so sometimes it's nicer to put a face with the name. Who owns the purple car? Who owned a purple PT Cruiser? Yeah. Tobe was the sheriff at the time. Now Liggett is the sheriff. And I think Tobe must be over here on this side with Carter. KK grandma drove his KK. Wait, KK's grandma had a purple PT Cruiser. Hold on, everybody's saying a different name. I want to. Detective Vito. Teresa, is that the guy in blue? Oh, hold on. The sheriff also had a shack on his property and was interrogated 7 times. Oh, wait. Tobe had a purple PT Cruiser? I don't know. Tobe had a purple PT Cruiser. Holy crap. Oh, I have that too. I'm going to, and when we go through the other one I want to do, because I won't be able to put it all into one. So this one I want to go through all the old press conferences. Then I'm going to go through the old warrants and even reread Richard Allen stuff. And I'm also going to go over Thomas's lawsuit, because I think that Thomas's lawsuit is, in my opinion, a big deal. Okay, so that kind of gives you who it is. I can't believe that Tobe how did I, maybe I did know that. It's just done. I just did not even, I didn't even remember that, or I just didn't know that. That is so crazy to me. Well, they're giving them out. Here's a PT Cruiser for you. Give them to everybody, so now nobody knows who has it.
This joint investigation. I'm very humbled by the response that the resources that are under my direction have brought, and hopefully the contributions that we are making. On any given day, we have 20 FBI agents that are here providing investigative help, whether that's running down leads, conducting interviews, helping with lead tracking system, providing intelligence analysis support, providing technical assistance. Every night, I update our FBI headquarters to our deputy assistant director. And as the superintendent mentioned, this has been briefed to the FBI director on 2 occasions. So whatever resource that the FBI has available, whether it's here in the state of Indiana or nationally, we have brought those resources, and we will continue to do so. We were committed to working around the clock, as we have been over the last 9 days, and will continue to do so until this case is solved. To the members of the community, when I met with our behavioral analysis unit and their expertise and their experience, it is oftentimes even unwitting that a member of the community may have information that is germane to this investigation. And I'd like the community to go back 9 days and go back to the afternoon of February 13th, Monday, February 13th, and just think if you had an interaction.
Just want you guys to pay attention that he said when he met with the behavioral analysis unit, they have a profile, and we've never seen it or heard it. They have a profile from the very get-go of what type of person they believe committed this crime, and we get nothing. So, and this is totally off track, but I'm just going to throw this out there because I know me and I know I'll forget it because I forgot it the last 2 lives when I wanted to say something about it. Indiana, and I was going to look at the date of this, but Indiana is one of the first states that actually created where, like, the victims' families can request for different agencies to actually take over the case. Other states don't do that. So that was like a really big deal. So I know that in the defense documents, they talk a lot about that there was like 26 days until the election, which is when Liggett takes over as sheriff. And, Liggett wanted this quote unquote arrest so that he could say, like, look at what I've done as, just even as running, and Thomas didn't, blah, blah, blah. But I wonder if they were concerned that the families were going to say, hey, we're taking this out of your hands and we're going to ask for another agency to step in and look at it. Because if that happened and there is all of these lies and this corruption, then they would have all been found out. Like, they almost had to make an arrest because that way nobody else could take it. Nobody else could look at the case. Have the parents sued the cops on the possibility that those cops might have saved the girls if they didn't call off the search? No. And for up until last I've ever heard, they the families have really supported law enforcement besides Libby's mom She's really the only one that's I've ever heard speak out against law enforcement in the area. But also, you have to remember these families all still live in Delphi with these people. So, Tom, I'm telling you, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. I think so too. That's what we were talking about. I think probably before you popped in was that's probably why they pushed the FBI out. So one of the witnesses, Idaho Charlie, said that they saw a purple PT Cruiser, and that's the one that they're saying that law enforcement is saying must be Richard Allen's Ford Focus or whatever SUV, miniature SUV. And they're like, they're very similar, and it's like now a purple PT Cruiser. PT Cruisers are pretty, they stand out. Yeah, I would love to be able to see the BAU's profile. A case like this where people lose total confidence in their law enforcement agencies. This was a total embarrassment for Ellie. Ari is responsible for this. He literally confessed way back in 2017. But if squeaky wheel, my issue still comes to, if it was that easy, then why didn't they do it right the first time? Why does law enforcement have to be so freaking shady? And let's just go with the fact that Richard Allen did it. Let's just say he's convicted and that's it. How do you ever trust these people? Because they lied. They lied. So, oh, Bonnie, really? Oh, I've always been like, I've always heard the whole spiel of like, we believe in our law enforcement, da 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 da. He absolutely is. That's a description that I wouldn't have given to it, but yeah, there you go. Hey, Janie Lane, thank you for becoming a member. So if Liggett is not an Odinist, he would protect Brad, both Freemasons. And see, and that also goes into the same thing, because like Freemasons, it's the same. Like my grandpa was a Freemason, and that guy didn't even help me get out of a freaking ticket. So I'm like, I don't know how. Not all of them are like, oh, let's go cover up everything and like save each other. But then there are ones that are like, no, we're brothers and this is how it goes. And yep, I agree with that. Right. So we'll never have the confidence to say, yes, this is the right guy. That's my problem. Okay, we'll keep going.
Interaction with an individual who inexplicably canceled an appointment that you had together, or an individual called into work sick and canceled an important appointment or a social engagement, and at the time gave what would have been a plausible explanation. My cell phone broke, or I had a flat tire on my car. But in retrospect, that excuse no longer holds water. That may be important. Likely so are behavioral indicators that this individual may have exhibited since the afternoon of May 13th. Did this individual travel unexpectedly? Did they change their appearance? Did they shave their beard, cut their hair, change the color of their hair? The superintendent mentioned the clothes that this individual was wearing in the photo. Did they change the way they dress? Did their behavior change? Did their sleep pattern is different now? Did they start abusing drugs or alcohol whereas they would not have? Have they been anxious, nervous, irritable? Have they followed this case and what the media is putting out with a sense that is not normal?
JC Marty, so Lesenby's wife is related to the Lieberts, and the Lieberts are one of the property owners right around the bridge that they actually gave a witness statement because Teresa Liebert is she lived right there, and she saw somebody that morning that she thought was a dodgy looking character. Oh, or you're saying Shane Evans is, yeah, he is a little dodgy looking too, but politics and all. So Should have highlighted that so I didn't lose it. So yes, so the Lesenbys own a purple PT Cruiser, and then Lesenby's wife is related to Teresa Liebert, who owns property right there.
Have they had ongoing discussions regarding their whereabouts on that afternoon or thereafter? Please, if you have that information, call that into the tip line. After this press conference, the FBI will be putting out a series of these indicators on our social media, so it'll be available not only to the citizens of this community, but across the state of Indiana and then nationally as well. We'll also be utilizing digital billboards, and in any way we can spread this message, we will. I'll just finalize my remarks just to say that to my law enforcement partners behind me, to the community at large, 9 days ago, the FBI stood shoulder to shoulder with you. We're not going anywhere. We will be here until this case is solved, and I am confident this case will be solved. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to invite Captain Dave Burston, Chief Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police, to the podium.
Thank you, Tony. We do have some new information for you today. It's in the form of an audio file from the cell phone that Liberty German had with her at the time. We're not going to play everything that we have, but Liberty had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera. Again, we're not going to be able to share everything with you, but we are going to share this audio clip with you momentarily with the hope that somebody will recognize this voice. And I want to be very clear that what you're about to hear is just 4 short words. Excuse me, 3 words. Down the hill. You're going to hear.
Isn't that interesting that he slips up right there and he says it's 4 words? And then years down the road, they released a 4th word.
Hear this played 4 times. The audio quality is not superb, but there's enough there that somebody could recognize this person's voice. And as Superintendent Carter said, not to rationalize away. If you hear this today and you think, my God, that sounds like fill in the blank, call us, make an anonymous tip, tell us who you think it is. Let us investigate it. If it's not the right person, they'll just be out a little bit of time and they'll be cleared and they can go on and they'll never know that you called. But you may tell us who the right person was, and you could be the person that helps us to solve this horrible crime. Micah, play the clip, please. Would you play it one more time? So that audio clip later today will be available on the Indiana State Police website. You can simply go to our website and add the extension /delphi.htm. There will be information on that website that talks about the reward that is being collected now. Sergeant Slocum will talk more about the amount of money that's been raised towards solving this case. And really, money shouldn't be what drives somebody to help solve this, just a sense of community and wanting to help and to get this person off the street. The image that you see there of the suspect, that came from Liberty's phone. I think many of you had speculated that before. We weren't prepared to discuss it at the time. We have more video. We're not releasing it. It's germane to our investigation. And it's important that we spread that person's voice far and wide for somebody that will recognize who that is and will call us and tell us. I also want to tell you that there will be a tip line. There's an email tip line. I'll spell it out for you, and it'll be on the website later, but if you want to copy this down, tips can be emailed to abbylibbitip@cacoshrf.com. So that is Abby and Libby tip at cacoshrf.com. Phone number, email, call the Delphi Police, call the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, call the state police. Help us to capture the person responsible for these murders.
as I started out, we volunteer because we care. I believe that's a way of life here in Carroll County and the Delphi area. As Captain Burson indicated, we now have monies for a reward. I believe we're in upwards to around $41,000, with $25,000 being donated by the FBI, $10,000 by the Indiana Packers, a local business. The Andersons have donated $5,000. Indiana Lafayette Savings and Loans has donated $1,000. They do that because they care. We need to solve this case. We have every resource that we could think of to prompt people to give us information. We need to get the murderer of Liberty German and Abigail Williams into custody sooner rather than later. That will be the end of our press conference. As far as speakers at this time, we will entertain questions.
Okay, so here, let me see. Where did that go? I just had it highlighted. The down the hill, somebody asked about down the, what about guys? There it is. The guys isn't added until later. So they only released at the very beginning of this, all they released was a couple of still images from the video, and then they released this audio clip of down the hill. So everything was just down the hill. And then they're saying that it's reopened. I just pulled that up just so that we could take a look at it. That's mainstream media for you, but here, I'll show you. They're saying that it's reopened based on the ritualistic sacrifice theory. I believe they're saying that because of the new filings, they're trying to say that because now the cops are re-interviewing people like the professor.
We turn now.
Oh, that is so loud.
New allegations in the Delphi murders case. Attorneys for Richard Allen, the man accused of killing Abby Williams and Libby German, claim police have reopened an investigation into claims the girls were killed in a ritualistic sacrifice. And they want a judge to force prosecutors to hand over all of the evidence in the case immediately. In the new court filings on Monday, Richard Allen's attorneys argue the state is reinvestigating claims that the February 2017 Delphi murders were connected to Odinism, a Norse religion connected to paganism. Allen's attorneys originally laid out that claim in a 136-page memo last month, describing in gruesome detail the crime scene, how Abby Williams and Libby German died, and how their bodies had been staged. Monday's filing alleges that after initially ignoring the theory, authorities have reopened the investigation into the Odinism aspects of the case. They specifically point to new police interviews in August of this year with at least 2 people who the defense considers potential suspects. Prosecutors have flatly rejected the Odinism angle in court documents, calling it colorful, dramatic, highly unprofessional, and designed for social media. The defense also claims some evidence is missing, including audio and video recordings of interviews and a police report with a woman who told investigators within 1 month of the killings that her brother had confessed. Allen's attorneys want the judge to end what they call the prosecution's continual drip, drip, drip of evidence discovery and force the state to hand over all evidence in the case by November 1st.
Okay, so I don't think that that's this is my opinion. I do not believe that that's an official, like, reopened the investigation. I think what they're doing is using those words based on the documents that are being submitted and the motions being submitted by the defense, who are saying, look, they're going back and interviewing these people so they can find out X, Y, Z, and then we're getting that now in discovery. So, yeah, I mean, reopened, I don't think so. I think what they're doing is trying to cross their I's and dot their T's. Opposite of that, they're trying to cross their T's and dot their I's. I don't even know why I use that saying because I get it wrong every freaking time. That's a great question. That's a lot. They have a lot to go through. So we'll see. She should be figuring it out soon. I believe that she'll give them a Frank's hearing. I just don't know if they're going to get what they want from that. Oh, really? I didn't know that. And that's bullshit. On a case this big that they have 10 days to be able to go through it, I think that's bullshit. Bella, it's right as of right now, it's set for January 8th. But the fact that the defense just put in the motion saying they still have 30 or 40 more depositions to go, I don't know. And they know they don't have enough to hold RA after all the evidence they collected with the bogus PCA will be thrown out. And I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to go back and just make sure that they have everything. They're like, look, see, we did it. We talked to these people. And look, now here's the recorded one. Oops, we can't find the original recorded one. So sorry. Okay, Richard Allen or his defense lawyers. That reads as if it was written by a dreamy crime novelist. For me, if you went through and only looked at out of that 136 pages, take out the stuff that has to do with Odinism and the Odinites and even all those people, and just look at the core of what these people have actually lied about, that is enough for me to go, somebody needs to dig into this. Even if it's not Odinist, if it's fake Odinist, if it's white national, if it's whatever it is, take that away. If they're lying about what the witnesses said, which I proved they did, I proved he lied. He lied in that search warrant and said that both of those girls said that is the guy on the bridge. That's not true. Because they both have a completely different description of that guy, and they have said since they released it that is two separate individuals. You cannot take two separate individuals and make them one to get the search warrant. So for that document, for me, I take out all the other stuff that makes it like the crime novel, quote unquote. Now that just enhances it. And I think that got people to want to read it more, but there's still part of it that I felt like the defense went into gory crap that I did not think they needed to. And the other thing that I don't agree with is all the things that they listed. They listed, so he would have had to have done this by himself and done this by himself. I don't think there was anything listed that the guy couldn't have physically done alone. I just don't think so. But we really don't know a true time frame of when, they say Abby died slowly. Okay, slowly to me, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, slowly to you, an hour and a half. So I don't know. That's neither here nor there. No, and I have to see the interviews because you can see in the different documentation, they tell two different stories. So there's a lie. Whether one is the lie or the other is the lie, I don't care. One of them's a lie. So I know they lied because you can't have both. I don't have to see both. I don't have to see those interviews as much as I would love to. The documents that they put in, that the prosecutors put in, and that, Holman and Liggett were there and partook in writing, they don't match. Okay, let's finish this one. Maybe. Did I turn it down? Did I turn it down or what did I do? Well, you can't have both stories be true because they're not the same. So
is there any specific information that says the person is local or from far away? No. Could this be a stranger crime? That's a possibility. Could this be somebody that knew that the girls were going to be there at that time? That's a possibility. Nothing is off the table.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The only thing I would add is where the FBI can come involved, and if it does lead interstate or multi-jurisdictionally, we have that capability to stretch it further outside of this immediate community across the state or across state lines.
Let's go one time. I'll let you do your follow-up, then I'll come to you. What's your follow? Go ahead and do your follow-up. As a special, we know that there are going to be lots of questions that we specifically cannot answer because there are things that we do not want to tip our hand to the person responsible for this. That kind of information we're keeping close to ourselves. Is it reasonable to think that that's an area, one of two things happen. That was a chance encounter. That's possible. Don't think it's likely, but it's possible. Or that person knew that they were going to be there. That's possible as well. Those are things that we're looking into. Question over here. Similar to what I just said, there's specific pieces of information that we're not discussing. The best example that I can give you is if somebody is a victim of a burglary and then they're murdered, everybody wants to know how they were murdered. If we go into the details and we say they were stabbed twice in the back and they were shot in the head, then everybody hears that. And then we get tips. People tell us that, and the tip is useless. We're keeping information that will only be known by the person or by who that person told. And when that's shared with us, it will set off the alarm bells and we'll know.
Based upon what you have and other investigators have seen of this crime, do you believe this individual has killed before, and what makes you believe he will do it again?
Greg, I'll let
Can't hear the damn
Master
questions,
address
of
that.
course.
There has been no indication right now that this is part of a serial murder, if that's what your question is. So as of the facts that we have collected at this point in time, we have not tied it to any other known homicides.
We have other information that we're not sharing, and specific to your question, Raphael, keep in mind that there the likeliness of the possibility of more than one person. We're not saying that the voice that you heard is the same as this person here. This is all very complicated, very.
You guys hear that? We're not saying that the voice of the person is the person here. Yeah, Hi Mystic Firefly. Yeah, we're going back in time. A look back at all the press conferences. So we're going through them, listening to what they're saying, and comparing it to the info we know now. So right off the bat, this is February 22nd. I'll keep changing the ticker at the bottom, so you guys know when the date of the presser is. Let me go back just a tiny bit. Make sure you guys heard that.
Question, Raphael. Keep in mind that there the likeliness of the possibility of more than one person. We're not saying that the voice that you heard is the same as this person here. This is all very complicated, very involved, and as much as we would like to tell you everything, more importantly, we want to solve the crime. That could be or could not be. The audio is also from Liberty's phone. So again, she had the presence of mind to have the phone on and to capture video as well as audio. No, I can't. That is a loop that we played 4 times for purposes for you to hear it. No, there's nothing I can speak to about the scene investigation and collection of evidence. Yes, and thank you for asking that, Paris. To clarify, the image that you're looking at here came from Liberty's phone. There's nothing that we are prepared to release at this time. No, I can't say that because we weren't there. We know that voice was captured from her cell phone. We know this image was captured from her cell phone. Keep in mind, all of you are in the television business. What do you see out of the TV? You see this. You don't see what's over here. You don't see what's over here. So there's lots more that we're looking at.
As I indicated before, the reason we believe this is a suspect is based on the totality of the evidence that we've gathered thus far. That has led us to believe this is the person that at least participated in the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. Now, we're not going to release that part of the information, but it did come from her phone, which entails that even though we enhanced it, it's the best we have. That's the image we're giving. And just because you and I do not recognize that photo, there, as indicated earlier, a person that works with what appears to be a male white in that photo might recognize him. Again, a family member might recognize that. Unfortunately, it's the best we have, and that's what we're going to go with at this time. If we decide to go other routes later, we'll let you know. This young lady's a hero. There's no doubt. To have enough presence of mind to activate the video system on her cell phone to record what we believe is criminal behavior that is about to occur. As far as the first part of your question, that's something we're going to keep close to the vest as part of our investigation. But there's no doubt in our minds that that young lady is a hero. Well, unfortunately, when you're in the law enforcement business, there are crimes that occur in this nature. As far as the time frame and different things in my experience are unique to my career, but there are a lot of smart people standing behind me that will probably have a different answer. But again, rest assured, we're using our resources to put the person and or persons that murdered Liberty German and Abigail Williams into our jail here in Carroll County.
The only thing that I want to add to that is all of you have more questions than we can answer here today without compromising the case. I think we all can agree there's one thing we want to do. We want to capture the person or persons responsible for this crime. We wanted to get this video, to get the audio clip out to you. We wanted to confirm to you where that image came from. We've accomplished those two things here today. We encourage you to play that audio to your audiences frequently over the days to come so that we can develop a tip to that tip line or to the email address that I gave you or to the website information that will be on the State Police website at 10:45. At this time, we're going to conclude the news conference. Thank you all very much for coming here today and to helping to spread the word. Thank you.
Essentially, he's saying that they don't know if that person in the photo, which is a still image from the video, is the person that's saying down the hill. That's what he's saying here. Remember, this is February 22nd, so you take that for what you want. Then let me grab the next one so we can have it ready. Actually, this one has, I'm not familiar with this channel, so I don't, hopefully they don't care if I use their stuff. This next one is the 1-year anniversary. And so before I play it, there's a few that, there's like a ISP, almost like a podcast or radio show. I don't know exactly what it's called. And they do go on there and they do have some comments about the case. I did not pull all of those up. So just FYI. Hi, Shmida. Okay, so this is 1-year anniversary. This channel has 3 of them put together, so hopefully they have the whole thing. We'll see.
Welcome. I didn't really know what to expect when I stood on this trail just a little bit ago, over the course of the last 15 minutes, but very uncomfortable feeling. We're a year today. I would be remiss to not talk about the people that have made this whole for the first year without an arrest. We talked about Sheriff Linsonby, who stands behind me to the left, and Kevin Hammond, Mike Peasley with the FBI, Jerry Holman over my right shoulder, Steve Buckley, the new prosecutor, Nick McClelland, here in Carroll County. What I've seen over this course of the last years are memories and times and comments and things that will stand with me and live with me for the rest of my life. The very best of humanity in the very worst of times. I was able to see from afar this community in Carroll County in the city of Delphi come together and support not only law enforcement, the people that were here that have given so much of their lives to this case, but also to the families. And I just wanted to say I am forever humbled. I don't know what you expected today, but I came to plead and implore you to keep this out front and center. I said before, and I'm confident I'll say again, I hope that one day when we all meet Abby and Libby, that they tell us you did well. That's my hope. We cannot allow evil to prevail. Our world is completely out of balance, and we cannot allow that to prevail. I've said all along that we as an agency will be here as long as I'm breathing and as long as Governor Holcomb allows me to continue to stay in the position that I hold. I have the opportunity to brief him regularly. This isn't about how many hours we spend. It's not about how much it costs. It's about every single asset that the ISP has, we will give to this sheriff, this community, and to each and every one of you. Because I refuse to accept evil as a standard bearer in American society, not here. People have oftentimes asked me, why is this so personal to you? It's personal to me because those two young girls were everybody's daughter. In this beautiful place that represents the very best of humanity. And look what happened. That's why it's very personal to me. And I just hope that one day I can look into the eyes of a murderer and ask him why. And I believe that we will. I believe that we will. I know you have a bunch of questions for me. But please understand, if the question has to do with the investigative process, tactics associated with the investigation, what only the killer would know, that we know, I can't answer your question. And I just ask you to ask for you to please understand that when we open this up. Many people have said, did you think it'd be a year? I don't know. I don't know. How do you answer that question? I believe we're one piece of the puzzle away from figuring out who this individual is. Then the real work begins. Over 30,000 tips. Thank heavens the FBI was engaged with us, with the Orion system and the expertise that the FBI brought from all over the country to allow us to manage that kind of data. We've had inquiries and requests for discussion from agencies all over the country, not only because this is such a high-profile case, but because of the complexities associated with the time since we found their bodies a year ago tomorrow. As I close my comments to you, I want to say thank you. I've had the pleasure of having relationships with our local media and our statewide media and even our national media for more than 30 years. I appreciate our partnership. I've had the opportunity to travel to the East Coast and the West Coast with Mike and Becky and the families to continue to perpetuate this message if somebody out there knows who this individual is. None of that's possible without you. It's really, really important that you understand how important and what the importance of the role is that you play. Technology is wonderful, but technology can also challenge us. I would ask that folks not continue to compare photographs on the internet. Please, if you have an idea of an individual, of a comment, of a phrase, of a name, that you send it to us. It creates lots of complications when that analysis is done outside of the purview of the experts that I happen to be able to represent. They're standing behind me today. So I hope you hear me loud and clear. If you're watching this and you're responsible, today may be your day. It might be tomorrow, but I can guarantee you your day's coming. We've got to perpetuate the relationship that we have, and we've got to not stop. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen detectives that have given their lives to this case, that have held off and discussed holding off retirement, that have canceled family vacations, that work nights, weekends, and holidays. so that we can explain to you one day and to this incredible community and to our state what happened. So our commitment is longstanding. It's real. It's as real today as it was 365 days ago, and it'll be as real tomorrow as it was today. We are not going away. We are not going away. With all that said, the floor is yours.
Superintendent, how do you speak to that one individual who said that you may be just a tip away? So how do you encourage that somebody, whoever they may be, to provide you with that information that you need to put the pieces together to solve this?
That's a great question. And the answer is each of you. I talked about that relationship. You see, in all of my career, I don't ever remember having the photograph of a person that we believe is responsible. I don't ever remember having the voice of a person that we think is responsible, or having a sketch of the individual that we believe is responsible. So if all of you closed your eyes for just a moment and you thought of a family member, but you didn't think of them from the neck up, you would know how they stand and the clothes they wore and their posture. You would know that voice. I would know it if it was my father, just like you would know it if it was yours. Somebody out there knows who this person is. And fortunately, I'm not going to say unfortunately, fortunately, we have such a relationship with you that you've kept us front and center, because we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. But you guys are. I don't think there's multiple pieces to the puzzle, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's one piece. And it's having one individual with the strength to say, that was my brother, or that's my dad, or that's my cousin, or that's my neighbor, it's my coworker. That's all we need. And I think we're one piece away. One piece. Good question, Raphael. I appreciate that.
How do you measure progress? And how much progress has been made in the last year?
Yeah, so another good one. How do you measure progress? How do we know if we're making progress? Tips. I think if we do this mathematically, it's over 30,000 tips. I've heard this guy say to me multiple times, Superintendent, when we're out of tips, we're going to start all over with the ones we got. There's this notion that this is cold. It's not cold. This is not going to be cold. I'm not sure where that comes from. So as those tips continue to come in, we'll continue to work them the very, very best that we can. We'll bring detectives in from all the posts around Indiana that I'm responsible for. And the local law enforcement entities that have resources, we'll bring them all together and we'll go out after the tips that we have. That generally leads to more tips, and then can lead to more tips. So we will continue to manage those tips, and when we're all done, we're going to start all over, because that piece of the puzzle's in the pile someplace. Yes.
I can't, Carter. I know, I do believe that Carter cares about the case, but just listening to that, like that piece of the puzzle, when we get done with the tips, we're going to go back through and we're going to start over. We're going to go through the tips, because that piece of the puzzle, it's in the pile. It's in the pile that we have. Like, right, squeaky wheel, right? The Florida girls, many people believe, are connected to this somehow, and they even actually bring it up in that 136-page memorandum about what Murphy is talking to Amber Holder about. But I don't know. I would have no problem looking at the Florida case. I have looked at it a little bit. I've never dug into it like this. But hi, Peyton. It's just so frustrating. And then just him like, that's such a great question. I just feel like so frustrating. It was frustrating back when this was happening. Like, hey, why isn't there any answers? And then it's literally like circles, talking circles. And then when the reporters want to, and that's how I feel about most press conferences. Once again, I don't think that that's just Carter and his crew. It's just how I feel in general, but it's total politics. Look at what a nice guy I am. Look at how hard I'm trying. You guys are all so great. You media, I love you all so much.
Daniel Nations, as we call the person of interest. What does that mean for Indiana State Police when you say someone's the person of interest?
Well, I think the inverse to that statement is, until there's somebody arrested, we're interested in almost everybody. But we, as you all know, we went out to Colorado and we spent a little bit of time with him. And he's not a person that we care a whole lot about at this moment in time. And that's all I'll say about Daniel Nations.
Now that the year has
gone by, do you guys have a new path when investigating this case, or is it still relying on those tips? Is it, what you've been doing every day for the last year?
Yeah. I think that repetitive nature is going to reveal something that's right before us, and we just don't know what it is yet.
Superintendent, you have been on the national TV programs. You have harnessed the resources of your agency, also the solution of the FBI, Carroll County. Is there something that you have not done, sir? I mean, as you look at your checklist, what have you not done legally possible already to look into this case? What is that? Is there something you haven't done?
You're going to get into my soul a little bit with a question like that.
We'll take your soul.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. I want to tell you why. Because of what my eyes have seen and what the eyes of these fellows behind me have seen that you haven't seen. About 3/4 of a mile from here. There is not a day goes by at the end of my day that I don't think is tonight the night that I'm going to get a call that something bad happened to somebody that I represent, an Indiana trooper someplace in Indiana. Or is there something that we haven't done that we could do? Is there a level of support that I have not given to this sheriff or Jerry Holman and the multitude of resources that we have here in Carroll County? What are we missing? You see, we're human beings just like you. And this continues to play in our minds. Every single morning I wake up and I realize my phone might have rang, but everybody's okay. But is today the day in Delphi? Is today the day in Flora? It comes to my mind every single morning and sometimes in the middle of the night. So I appreciate the question, Raphael. The answer is absolutely yes. I can speak for myself, and I can't even fathom what the folks standing behind me must think and the way in which it's affected their lives.
Like you mentioned, you have the killer's voice, you have this picture, you have a detailed sketch. That's more information than a lot of the cases that you guys have to solve. 1 year later, you have all that information. How many you have to do it?
Answer the question for me. I wish I could answer it. I've said locally, statewide, and even nationally that sometimes our citizenry doesn't trust us. And I acknowledge that and recognize that we are not without sin. I know that. And I would just like to think that the person that might know about this maybe doesn't trust us and doesn't want to tell us. But they don't think we can protect them. Oh, yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. And we've got to work to regain that community's trust, these community trust. And I think we're getting there. That's not $1 million question. That's $1 billion question. And I'd give my life to be able to answer it.
Have you been able to clear anybody in this case?
I think that the people that we have talked to at this point in time, we feel confident that there was no involvement.
Months ago, it was mentioned, why haven't you produced more of the video to give an idea of his gait, how he walks? And I think the comment was that you weren't comfortable at that time. You weren't at that point of doing that. 1 year in, are we now considering doing this? More to work with?
No, we are not. We think that we've released enough now that if there's a possibility of identifying the killer based on that photograph, we'll be able to do that. And that's all I can say about the video and audio that we have. Yeah. As needed, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. That's an investigative process that will continue to perpetuate itself over time.
Can you say anything more about this suspect that you drew up? Do you believe he was a transient? Is he in the state? Is he anywhere in this country?
$1 billion question, isn't it? I don't know.
Would you say the case has slowed down? Obviously, not cold by any means, and so many tips still coming in, but has it slowed down a little bit? Maybe not as many leads, or?
As with any major case, it ebbs and flows, right? I mean, the rhythm, it ebbs and flows. And this one is certainly no different. When it does slow down, it gives these incredible servants standing behind me an opportunity to take a breath. Then about the time they get that breath, something else happens and they fire right back up into high gear. I have no indication to believe that that's going to stop or slow down.
You made a mistake smiling. How are you holding up How are you handling this with your?
Physically, I'm handling it fine. As Superintendent Carter says, I think about this every night I go to bed. I lay in bed thinking, what could we have done today? Who do we need to follow up on? It's a never ending with me. Weekends, I'm still working on it. There's weekends I've come into the command center and just do stuff on my own just to get stuff done by myself. So it's 24/7 almost for me.
Having your local relationships with so many people here, and you've been on this case since the beginning, has that helped you and helped Indiana State Police?
It's helped a lot. A lot of the state police that come in from other posts don't know the area, don't know people. So they'll come into me or even Detective Liggett, who's also helped. We help them out, get them to the right people, and follow up where we can.
Detective, people are trying to find something to do. They want to be part of the solution. So what do you suggest that they do as we enter the second year? Besides giving you that call that you need, what can the public do to help you get this case on the right track? It's been tough.
As far as local, the public's been fantastic. The support has been fantastic from Carroll County, from food to snacks to beverages. Just every time I go to a local store, they're, hey, we're thinking of you, we're proud of you. So the local support has just been great. But just stay vigilant. If you see something, let us know. Yeah. It could be local, it could be distance. At this point, we don't know. Again, always be visual of your surroundings when you're out and about. It has.
So when you see the family having the updates, or sometimes they're not updates at this point, how does that affect you? So you go home, you can't get it off the mind.
It affects me because I have children at home too. So I am more vigilant with my own children than what I ever was before this had happened.
We had that very conversation, and having, was it going to be in town? Was it going to be at the city building? Was it going to be at the old office on the courthouse square? I was pretty adamant, in my opinion, was that it's where they would last were, and they walked right here. They walked right where I'm standing. I thought that's why it was significant to have it here today. And the response was, "What if it's snowing?" I said, "Who cares?" So I think everybody would agree. Listen, every single opportunity that we get to throw this out to the front, whether it be in a newspaper in small town southern Indiana, or whether it be on a national stage, Dr. Phil was 135 countries and I think 20 million people. Absolutely, yes. Again, it resonates with the relationship with all of you. Please understand the importance you played, how important it is that you're here. I didn't know what to expect when we flew in, but I looked down and I saw this line of cars, and I'm so grateful, so very grateful to you. It's my hope that murderers, killers watching us. It's my hope.
Take 2 more questions.
Whether there has been pressure on social media, whether you're watching now on TV or online, you may think it's a year. I gotta wait for the response.
Keep thinking that. Keep thinking that. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. That's one piece, of course, and I agree with you completely. But that would be one investigative step for us. The other investigative step might be a hunch, might be a notion that someone has. It would be great if someone came out and said, "Yeah, that is this person, first and last name. I know it is." But likely, very likely, from an individual. Yes, yes. No, the science piece of this, I'm going to keep very, very close to the vest. Very close to the vest.
Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you all very much.
I feel like that one just doesn't give anything. It's just a lot of circle talk and how great everybody is. And so all these guys are all in that 136 page document, except for Carter. They don't talk about Carter. They talk about Hammond. They do talk about Tobe. So Tobe was the sheriff at the time, and he was actually considered a suspect. Like, they actually interviewed him a few times. And he talks about that on one of the documentaries too. And then you have Jerry Holman over here. Hammond is one of the original ones that's at the very beginning of that document that they're talking about, the Purdue professor, and where Hammond and Liggett were the ones that were marking off that Brad Holder was not. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick so I can read it to you verbatim instead of. This is what happens, though. I end up with like 30,000 things on my screen, and then in here. So Liggett and Hammond had concluded by March 2017 that Brad Holder should be cleared as a suspect. So they're the original ones that were saying, nope, don't worry about him. And then I'm almost positive that Hammond is actually the one that talked to Purdy. I don't want to say that though. Maybe it was Buckley. Now, here, the next person in the chain, Roland Purdy, upon reviewing the tip, simply followed the previous lead of Liggett and Hammond. Yeah, we're so sorry. We're so sorry that we don't have any answers for you yet. We're sorry that we're going to start over. We're going to go back through again, and we're going to go through all the tips that we've already received. And, we're going to figure it out. He is a mouthpiece. And I think that Carter cares. I really do think that Carter cares. And I think that he's probably sitting back going, you bunch of jackasses making me go out there and say this shit. And now look at you, that's how I feel. He's not doing any investigating. He's not diving into any of it himself. He's trusting that his team of people, this unified command, is doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, so then we have the 2-year presser. This one's like really long. I'm going to skip part of it because I know that some of it's just that whole mumbo jumbo, but we'll start.
I want to express all the hard work and dedication from all law enforcement officers that have been involved. They've taken.
Now we're in 2019, which I think this is the one with the hot mic. And Bonnie, I think you said, yeah. Mentexa, thank you. Yeah, he really did. He became the face of the investigation. That's why I'm like, I've watched him on other stuff just to kind of try to get a feel for him. And he seems like a very emotional man. He's in most things that when he's talking, he gets very into it and emotional. You mean the Dream Team? Yeah, the Dream Team, Unified Command. We're proud to be, here you go, here on this one. We're proud to be a part of this.
Taking time away from their family, from their lives in order to try to solve this case. And so I want to say that I appreciate everybody's work on this, not only the people standing behind me, but everybody involved.
Jeremiah.
This case has affected the community in so many ways. I know that I have the dedication of the people behind me and the people behind the scenes that they will not rest until we get this thing solved. Abby and Libby deserve that kind of dedication, not only from me, but from everybody involved. They deserve that from us. The community has the promise from me and from my staff that my office will do everything possible to support the investigation. I know that I have the full dedication of all the agencies involved as well. The goal is the same for all of us. It's to bring the individual responsible for these actions to justice. As Mr. Riley stated, we're not going to discuss the specific aspects of the investigation today. I've directed all law enforcement to review all requests with me, all public requests before a response is given. That is simply to protect the integrity of the case. My main goal is to protect this case, to make sure that we don't do anything to jeopardize trying this case once we have someone arrested. And so in that vein, please be patient with any request that you make. Please understand that when you make a request through law enforcement, that they've got to meet with me, and we're going to meet as a group and give you an answer if we can, an answer that we can give you that doesn't compromise, again, the integrity of the case. Again, I appreciate everyone's patience, and I know everyone has the same goal that we have. And again, that's to bring the individual responsible for these actions to justice. So I hope everyone understands and appreciates that. I hope everybody understands and appreciates the process, and hopefully we can work together. Media is an important tool that we can use, an important tool that we want to use. We've had to date over 38,000 tips. On any given day, we receive a dozen or more tips. We anticipate more tips coming in after today's conference, and we're prepared for that. We have detectives, officers, and analysts working on these tips and investigating all possible evidence from these tips. All the tips are greatly appreciated. All the tips. We want to encourage people to continue to call in with any information that they may have. I always use the old adage, if you see something, say something. Nothing is going to be considered a dumb tip or a tip that we don't want. Information is our main weapon here. And so any bit of information that someone has, they need to call in and give us. That could be the missing piece that we need to solve this thing. That could be the missing piece that we're waiting on that ties everything together. I know the family has done everything they can to keep this in front of the media, to encourage people to call in tips, and I'm doing the same thing. I know the family's been fantastic. I appreciate their dedication and their resolve to get this thing solved. But any little tip could be the piece that we need. And so we want to encourage people to keep calling in those tips, keep giving us the information that you have. With that being said, we have put up today a poster here that's to my left. Now, this is what the Unified Command believes makes a good tip. That doesn't mean if you don't have all this information that you don't call in the tip. Even if you don't have all this, continue to call that tip in. Let investigators take that tip and let them track down what they can from that tip. So no tip is bad or irrelevant or unusable. Again, information is our main weapon here. So what makes a good tip? Name of the suspect that you believe it is. Any identifiers, whether they have tattoos, birthmarks, long hair, short hair, height, weight, beard, mustache, any kind of things like that. A birthday, an approximate age if you have it. Last known address if you have it, or where they frequent. Any explanation of why you believe that this is the person involved.
So our Irwin, this is a great question. And many people think that they were actually killed somewhere else and brought back to this area when the police search was technically over that night, even though there was still some people out there searching. I've never seen exactly where all those searchers were at, so I couldn't say whether I technically believe that or not. I think it's possible. But we do know that they were investigating this area, and they had dogs out there, and there was some hits that were happening that don't end up being quote unquote part of this case. Yeah, media is important, but sorry, you can't actually come and watch what I'm going to do or if I'm going to hide anything. Somebody asked who this was. This is the prosecutor. So you've heard his name in the documents a lot as well. Bald, curly hair, tall, short. Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about. We don't know which one. So yeah, here's a good tip. Suspect's name, date of birth or approximate age, physical description, i.e. height, weight, hair color, eye color, address or location, include the city, vehicle information, year, make, model, specific reason for tip. Why could they be a suspect?
And then finally, what connection they have, if any, to Delphi. Why do you believe that they're connected to this case in any way? So I encourage everyone to keep calling in tips, even if you don't have all this information, but in the ideal world, this is the information we would want. This is the information that makes it easiest for investigators to look into that tip and track down what information they can. I would encourage people not to do side-by-side comparisons on social media, or not to state that they have a tip on social media, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever that may be. That just
They're adamant about not to do side-by-sides on social media. This becomes a very clear message that they want out there. Don't do side-by-sides. Don't do side-by-sides. It becomes such a big deal that Kelsey's out there saying stop doing side-by-sides.
The water and hurts the investigation. If you have a side-by-side that you think is legitimate, or you have a tip that you think is legitimate, call it into the tip line. Either call it into the tip line or use the email or website address that we have where you can submit the tip through there. Let investigators work on that tip. Let the professionals take that tip and do what they can with it. Again, the tip line is outlined in the poster here. It's also, the email is also outlined behind me, so make sure that everyone gets that. Once a person sends a tip over email, you will get an automatic response. Then if an investigator needs to follow up with you, they'll call you or email you back. Just understand you may not get a call back or an email back from an investigator right away. As I said, we expect more tips to come in now after this press conference, and that's the hope. The hope is that we can use media to get this out in front of people again. We want people to know this is not a cold case. This case is not closed. We are not done with this investigation. There are countless people working on this every day. So we want to get this out in front of people and want people to know we're still actively investigating all leads.
Isn't it interesting though that 2 years in, you don't have an arrest, you don't have a suspect, according to you guys. I mean, not according to you guys in chat, but according to law enforcement. You guys don't have a suspect, there's no arrest, but the prosecutor is essentially running the press conference. Typically, right, the prosecutor is like, we don't get involved until the investigation part is done, and then we bring it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutors say, yes, no, you have a case, or no, you don't, or, you know, you need XYZ for us to be able to move further. I think it's interesting that he's so involved at this point enough to be basically essentially running the press conference instead of just being there. Like, yeah, when they get this done, I'm going to be there for them.
We're still working on this case. I think about this case every day. I'm confident that we're going to get it solved. And I'm confident that I have the dedication of everybody standing behind me and everybody you don't see here today, that they're going to work and dedicate their lives to this until we get it solved. This is important. So I want to thank everybody for being here again. I appreciate it. There's just not enough I can say for all the work done by investigators and by the family. I don't want to end this without saying thank you to the families. Thank you for everything you've done. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Sergeant Riley, and he'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. One thing we do want to push is we really would rather you use the email address instead of the phone lines. It's easier for us to get the information and to get that out to the investigators and let them go. So please, if you can, use the email address. That's what we prefer the most. If we got a few minutes here for questions. If you've got a question, yes, Raphael.
Sure.
Hold on, let me slow it back down. I hate that you can't hear the dang questions.
Right. And so I don't know that that's my role to tell the investigators how to investigate the case. I want to be more of a support to them. If we have a resource in my office that you can use, I want to make that available to them. Having said that, I think investigators constantly relook at evidence every day. Is there something I miss? Is there something else I can do? So I think that's constantly going on, but in my opinion, it's not my place to give direction to the investigators on how to run the investigation. I just want to be a support for them with anything that I can do through my office. Can you repeat the question? I apologize. Well, the reward is still there. To my knowledge, I don't know the exact amount, but I think it's around $225,000. So the reward is still there. So I think that is still there available. That I can't comment on. No.
Okay, so I see you. I do see you. I'm one of the good guys fighting the disinformation on YouTube. I don't know. We're just going through press conferences. So, do you have any disinformation that they're sharing?
No.
Well, Rich, no, I did not. And how this has affected me pales in comparison to how it's affected the family members, this community, and these incredible investigators that have committed, literally committed their lives to this. I really appreciate the question, but we can't lose sight of that. But on the other side, I'm inspired by what I see. And I had somebody recently ask me about the word hope. And I have tremendous hope. Seeing what's happened has been an extraordinary journey for me. And most importantly, though, while we're standing up here today, I think all of us would probably agree the people that matter are flanking us. We just get to represent them. So Rich, I appreciate the question.
Hey, True Red Crime. This is the press conference from February 14th, 2019.
Well, first of all, we're not going to comment on what we're evaluating and analyzing, but there's always an analogy to some other situation, which is good. And we can turn that into a very positive, and I appreciate that. We can turn it into a positive because every time that happens, it causes these extraordinary folks that are doing this work to reset. That was asked a little bit ago, and not necessarily a reset of the entire thing, but it causes them to take a step back and think, okay, maybe there's something connected to that 2, 3, and 4 steps away, maybe. So as technology continues to evolve, we certainly hope one day that we can show our complete hand to this, but today's not the day to do that.
But today, 2 years after the crime, is still not the day to show our hand. We don't have any suspects. We have ruled out all the tips that you guys have called in. We ask you for more tips, but we won't actually put out that anybody has been cleared. So, but today is not the day that we're going to give you any more information. It's literally his answer.
The April Tinsley case was solved last year after 30 years. It's also last year in California, the Golden State Killer, after 40 years.
Right.
Social media played some role in this.
Put a damn microphone in the audience.
How do you put this in context? These families are doing 30, 40, 20 years. You give us some idea of how small. I think we should have the answer. When you see those cases pop up, how do you respect?
Very personally, I take a walk on the trail. Functionally and professionally, I'm confident it's not going to take that long. I think there are a lot of things happening in regards to the way in which we communicate, social media platforms, as human beings, in all that we do each and every day. Somebody knows who this murderer is. Somebody knows. So I really believe that it's not going to be another April Tinsley case. I can't imagine what her family endured for nearly 30 years. And I don't believe it's going to be that way here in Delphi, Indiana.
How do you measure progress in this investigation? Say you're moving in the right direction, how do you measure progress, and what effect does the armchair detectives?
Can't hear what the hell they're saying.
Well, I can tell you that Chief Mullins, Sheriff Linsonby, the FBI, all the way up to the Grant Mendenhall here in Indiana, we communicate all the time. But again, what we communicate is what we hear from those folks that are doing this important work. So that rhythm is going to stay strong. It's going to stay strong. What I've heard multiple times over the course of this, when we think we're done, we're going to start all over again. When we think we're done, we're going to start all over again. The FBI and the resources the FBI has brought to Delphi, Indiana have been extraordinary. And the technology and the pieces and parts to maintain a huge, huge case that we've had for now 2 years. So
hear that again. We get the tips and then we start over again. We get the tips and then we start over again. I see you. I totally respect your opinion on the fact that you think that Richard Allen is the guy. I totally get it. And I know that you're probably not overly familiar with my channel. I am absolutely respectful of everybody's opinion. You can think whatever you want to think and it'd be okay. I don't want chaos, and I don't want anybody in my chat giving each other a hard time about what the other people believe. We're simply going over the press conferences, and I know that you mentioned that you were just responding to somebody, and that's fine. But you gotta have a little give. I expect kindness from people all the time. So just don't cause chaos. Nobody needs it. This is already chaotic enough. So I'm happy to have you here, but I can't have chaos.
We'll stay diligent and we'll maintain that. What was the second part of your question? Generally speaking, not helpful, and it hampers the investigation. With the way in which Nick is involved here in this county, the way in which the families of Abby and Libby are involved in this county, that is not helpful. It is not helpful. And as he said, forward us information but don't do the analogy on your own, please.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'm confident we're going to solve this case. So I'm confident that if he's
confident we're going to solve this case, but he's not involved in the investigation and he doesn't tell the investigators what to do. So he already said that he's not involved and he doesn't.
listening in, or she's listening in, or whoever it is, that at some point I'll be sitting across from you in the courtroom. And so about all I can say about it, but I'm confident we're going to resolve this case. I'm confident we're going to get an arrest, and I'm confident we're going to solve it. So.
I'm sorry, I've got to take a stab at that. It's the first thing that my simple brain thinks of in the morning. It's the last thing I think of at night, and I know I represent everybody else that's dressed like me today. If you're watching, we're coming. If you're watching, we are coming. This county of Carroll and all that has happened here and all of the sadness associated with this county is unacceptable in a civilized society. But the flip side of that is, look what's happened in this community because of these tragic events. I mean, the unity and unification and what's actually coming of this and the positivity associated with human interaction is really something to watch. But if you're watching, as Nick said, I hope that I am able to stare him in the eye and ask him why. Because at the end of the day, the two behind me are the ones that matter.
You think he ever went and asked Rick Allen? You think he's ever talked to Rick Allen? I've never heard of him talking. That doesn't mean that he hasn't, but
The most, then the family, then this community.
At this point, we don't comment on anything about the investigation. We're here to focus on Abby and Libby and focus on that. Look, this is not a closed case. And again, if someone has a tip for something, call it in. Let us investigate it. And again, this is what makes a good tip. The poster here behind Sergeant Riley. If you don't have all the information, it's okay. Still call in the tip. But I don't want to touch base, or I don't want to talk about the specific aspects of the investigation at this time.
Jeremiah, I think he knew Richard Allen was the top suspect the entire time. Certain things he said stick out to me. Do you think that Nick or Doug Carter, which one do you think that thought Richard Allen was the top suspect the entire time? I'm curious, because according to what we've been told is the public, or in the public, is that they didn't even see this tip until what, like August of 2022 or September? You think Doug? Really? See, that's the other thing, is like they were adamant that this guy was local. There's only 3,000 people in that town. Like, how do you not go around looking at everybody? But I mean, I guess from even what we've seen, besides Doug Carter and Nick McClellan, everybody else that's been on the stage literally could be a side-by-side with BG.
The main reason is for the integrity of the case. Right, at some point, this case is going to go to trial or come to the courts, and we need to make sure that the integrity of the case is solid, and so that's the main reason.
Two more questions. So, Mr. Prosecutor, just to be specific, my colleague will ask, we know that there's video by a rolling young lady in Germany. Is the reason why you
Really wish we could hear the damn question.
Well, unfortunately, and the fear sound like a broken record, it kind of falls in the same category. And so I'm not going to comment on that at this time. Again, I want to focus on kind of the things that I talked about today and just let everybody know that the dedication to solve this thing is here. Is not only here in my office, but here behind me, and everyone supporting this investigation. So I don't want to comment on that. I want to focus on, the fact that we've gotten tips, we keep getting tips, and we hope to continue to get them until we get this thing solved. So.
State Superintendent mentioned that the FBI has brought great resources to this investigation. Did the FBI discuss those, or the FBI
I apologize, but no, we won't discuss anything regarding this active investigation, but we do provide any and all resources we have to support and advance this investigation.
So can you at least, I know you can't talk specific, but use global terms, what that looks like, or what that means?
Any resource that we are capable of, whether it be technological or investigative, we are applying it and we do it every day. That's all I can tell you. I'm sorry.
We want to thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time. Have a safe trip home.
Apparently, people don't really like the old press conferences. This doesn't even have
Information's being released today
memorandum.
is the result of literally thousands and thousands of hours
Okay, so now
of
we're
extraordinary investigative
we're
efforts
at where the
by
investigation
Delphi, Carroll
changed
County,
direction.
the FBI, the Indiana State Police, and
I'm gonna
countless
change
other
the thing.
agencies. This community surrounded us some 26 months ago. And you did everything you could to support us, but most importantly, you surrounded the family of these two little girls. Gosh, I'll never forget it. After you hear what we're going to release today, I'm going to ask for your continued support, your continued understanding, your empathy and compassion as we move forward to find out who did this, and we will. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City Building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not two different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's phone. This video has never before been previously released. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. When you see the video, watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Watch the mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know? Remember, he is walking on the former railroad bridge. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties. During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls. We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. We believe this person is currently between the age range of 18 and 40, but might appear younger than his true age. Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have.
When I first thought, I was like, when I very first watched this, I watched it while it was happening, and I was like, you never thought that we were going to switch gears, but now we have. And then if I look at this now, and it's like, I was like adamant. I was like, ooh, okay, maybe they figured something out. Now looking at this, I'm like, what the? You switched gears and went to what you were originally told by Betsy Blair. Like Shane just said, this is all about Betsy Blair. This is after Betsy Blair comes and says, hey, I don't understand why you guys aren't using my sketch. I gave you the sketch February 17th of 2017. The sketch you guys are using looks nothing like the guy that I saw. This is what I saw, and you guys aren't putting it out there. And so they're like, well, shit, I guess, maybe we should switch gears. And now we're like, we never thought we were going to switch gears. And now you've got a young 20 to maybe 30 looking guy with brown, curly, fluffy hair. And the first sketch that was released is now secondary. I have a major problem with that. Why did they not put this sketch out February 22nd in that press conference? They had a witness saying that was him, right? She says that's the guy. They supposedly show her a picture of the guy on the bridge from Libby's video, and here you go. The police never said what? The police never said what, Lynn? It's hard to rule Ron out, but I believe he was looked at and, as Tobe said, covered. Yeah. If they thought he was the murderer, why not release that sketch first? So weird. That's my question. I don't get it. Whoever did this is long gone now. This won't happen again. Not here anyways. How could he know that if he didn't know who did this, or if he wasn't involved on some level? It's a great question. I'm talking about Ron Logan. When interviewed by the original cop, R.A. said he was wearing a blue Carhartt. They never said that about the girl saying to show the sketch. No, they don't say that in this press conference. But we know that she goes to them in 2019 and asks why her sketch isn't being used. You don't think that she actually went to them and said anything about her sketch? I mean, that was documented supposedly. So I haven't seen that document.
We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of? They find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls, 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders. We try so hard to understand how a person could do something like this to two children. I recently watched a movie called The Shack. And there's also a book that talks so well about evil, about death, and about eternity. To the murderer, I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left. And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not It's not what they're experiencing today. To the family, I hope that you all will give them some time, because we're going to be asking that there's no media inquiry or no media response for at least the next 2 weeks, and I hope you understand why. The family found out about this information this morning. I just want the family to know that when I take my last breath on this earth, I'll be thinking of them. There's going to be a tremendous amount of questions. I know that. I know that. Never in my career have I stood in front of something like this. Please be patient with us, please. We're just beginning. We are just now beginning. And I can tell you on behalf of the sheriff and the police chief, so many other partners that have stood with us over this period of time, that we will not stop.
Remember, this is like, it gets like, it's so dramatic. This is like the most dramatic one. There you go. The big reveal.
I just unveiled the person that we believe responsible for the murder of these 2 little girls. So I invite media to take a look at that now. It's not up. Kim. We're also going to show you a video not previously released that superintendent spoke to, and also the audio that's additional to what's been previously released. It's only a slight change on it. So give Sergeant Riley just a second as he gets that up and ready. Stand by for the video, please. There is no sound of the video. As Superintendent Carter mentioned, he is on the railway bridge. You have to take different steps to get to it. This information later this afternoon will be on the State Police website.
After you hear what we're going to release today, I'm going to ask for your continued support, your continued understanding, your empathy.
So, and I get it. I get like the people in chat are talking about like that the witnesses talk about that bridge guy's head was covered and he had this thing on it. You know, he had a thing on his head, and some people say that he had something on his face. And the video is very grainy because they have zoomed in on it. He is not that close to the camera, so they've zoomed in to try to give a better look. And you have to remember, the audio and the video are from 2 separate parts of that 43 seconds. They are not from the same part. When we see them on social media, we, the public, have put them together. The video is separate. I don't know why it's doing that now. Great. Yeah, he's showing like a different angle. Oh, that's terrible. That's the video, not me.
As Superintendent Carter mentioned, he is on the railway bridge. You have to take different steps to get to it. This information later this afternoon will be on the State Police website.
After you hear what we're going to release today, I'm going to ask for your continued support, your continued understanding, your empathy and compassion as we move forward to find out who did this, and we will. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DC.
Okay, so this is just the whole thing from.
In the city of Delphi.
This is the one. Isn't this, you guys in chat? Is this not the one with the hot mic?
Highway, between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017.
This is the one where he's saying like you're going to be in the you could be in the crowd, you could be in this room or whatever he said.
To the please be patient with us, please.
Does anybody remember if this is the one with the hot mic or not?
February 13th, the vehicle was parked at the old C.
Looking at some of the high school yearbooks.
Hold on.
Looking for the.
This is the one where they talk about the white truck. And that's one I think.
Old CPS DCS welfare building that was abandoned on the east side.
Somebody in the crowd's talking about how they know somebody who saw a white truck there.
Parkland Highway between the hours of noon and 5 on February 13th. That's all the information I have.
Okay, now I can do it. No, I can't do it. Look at this picture. Wait, that guy, is it between the ages of what, 20 and 40?
18 and 40. 18 and 40.
18 and 40. Okay, thank you. The age that they think this guy is, that he may look younger than what he actually is. There's an I appreciate it.
He's either from Delphi or has been here, lived here. And online, just look at some of the high school yearbooks. I don't know.
The same words.
He may not maybe have gone to the Delphi school system.
They don't want us.
Okay, let me look and see if I can find one for 2017 because this is the one where they're talking about that somebody knew somebody that saw a white truck. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. If I can't, then we'll leave it for another day.
Well, this is a whole different look. Yeah, but I don't think that kid, that guy, they don't look the same. They don't look like that. This is even more confusing. This is more confusing than almost now.
Did you hear anything different in that audio except for the interference?
Yeah, no, it just sounded.
I mean, the other one.
Yeah, there was some type of a preface there, but I don't know.
I wonder if they would play the audio again.
Something came before the words
Yes,
down the
it
hill,
did.
but the down the hill part sounded
Yeah.
the same as what they released back in.
My friend saw the white truck, and he's the one that told me about it because he drives by there.
They didn't describe the car. What do you mean the white truck? Just now, they never described the car. He said he had no description of the car.
I'm just assuming it's the white truck that was there.
Wow.
Yeah,
He would.
but my friend
We
saw
just
it.
asked him
Okay.
specifically, like 2 minutes ago, can you describe the vehicle? And he said, we have no description. Or we.
Maybe they don't want to lead people or whatever, but I do know there was a white truck there. Yeah, big well. That's not what I've seen him on. I feel like they have an idea who it is because they were talking about the family finding even Jim.
It's interesting that they say that they can't, that Carter says they're not going to tell the public like what the vehicle looks like. They just want any information about a vehicle that was parked at CPS during this time frame. Why not tell them what vehicle you're looking for? Hot mic. A hot mic is like when people don't know they're being recorded. So like whoever was recording it left the recording going, so people are still talking. So it's called a hot mic because they don't know that they're actually still being recorded. 2017 Delphi. Okay. Let's see. So we're going back in time now.
I have fear of my
Back to February 22nd, 2017.
I have fear of my phone too. Phone phobia.
Hold on. Supposedly, there's there's two separate things that are stated in that memorandum that Richard Allen said, and one was that he was there, like he was asked. I'd have to go back and actually read it so that I don't say it wrong. But basically, it was like he was asked if he was there, like any time between 1:30 and 3:30, and he says yes. And then the other statement is that he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. That's not verbatim, so please don't take that verbatim because like I said, I don't remember exactly what it said, but they kind of throw both in there. And then when he goes in October and is talking to them is when he says he was actually there from 12:30 to 1:30. And so they were trying to figure out, well, where is the documentation from Dan Doolin, who was the original guy that talked to Richard Allen? Where's his documentation of that Richard Allen actually said he was there from 1:30 to 3:30? And they don't have that. And that's what when Doolin's like, I know I would have recorded it because I recorded everything. I just don't know where it is. Yeah, so that's a different hot mic cocktail dress. So that's a different one. That was from 2019. This was the one that Bonnie's talking about. This one's from 2017. So I'm going to play it.
I love my phone in my bag because I fear. I have fear of my phone too. Phone phobia.
We're going to start here in about 5 minutes, so
Probably.
You get to use the right lights. That's right, my pupils are adjusting. That's correct. Thinks its mic has done 56 times as much work as me.
I can't understand anything they're saying though.
I got the information. We're gonna find out. Yeah, it's a good thought. Gee, not right now. I should find out. That's the first thing. Thanks, Kevin. Poor guy.
Live on the internet. Oh. I'm optimistic here. Who's 57? I don't know. New York. Kristen help. Kristen has volunteered to Kristen's help. I would give him a minute. Bad hard times, buddy. So I told him, like we're married. Don Gross, it is the second. She's good. Sounds very good. Sounds the best.
Wonder if anybody ever went and transcribed this. Yeah, nobody looked very concerned. It was preparing.
we're going to go ahead and start in approximately 1 minute. So if you want to go ahead and get ready in about 1 minute.
Any patches on there, buddy?
very much for coming here today and to helping to spread the word. Thank you.
This is after it's over now. Is there still a hot mic? I don't hear anything anymore. Is there anything else? I just keep letting it go. I'm gonna have to like see if I can actually like enhance that audio and see what I can figure out. It's actually being said, if it's worth anything. But overall, I mean, they don't look. They're just, you know, having normal conversation from what I can tell. But it is interesting. All right, we have one more. Let's see if we can pull it off. So we have them all in one spot. Now I gotta figure out what the hell I did with it. Let's see.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police Lafayette Post. I'd like to thank you all for being here and thank the Delphi United Methodist Church for allowing us to use their facility. This morning, we're going to provide an update on the investigation into the murders of Abigail.
You can email me. Anybody who has anything that they want to share, absolutely, you can email me. It's criminality at criminality187@gmail.
Williams and Liberty German.
This is now the arrest.
Before we get started, I'm going to introduce to you our speakers, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, the Carolina State Police, Doug Carter.
Not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown.
Isn't it weird that he says Becky, Mike, Anna, and Kelsey? Doesn't mention Libby's actual parents and doesn't mention Abby's dad. And he calls them the extended family. I don't know, that bothered me.
And now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday.
So FYI, when Richard Allen was arrested, they actually would not do the press conference because Doug Carter was out of the country. And they wanted Doug Carter to be there for the press conference. So the world knew that Richard Allen had been arrested, yet they weren't going to do a press conference because they needed Doug Carter to be here.
Was the day. And an arrest has been made. Thanks to literally hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center. Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally, and you know I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable. Since the murders of Abby and Libby 2,086 days ago, the daily investigative team has worked tirelessly and is certainly worthy of mention today. Specifically, Sheriff Linsonby, Sheriff of Carroll County, Detectives Tony Liggett, Detective retired Kevin Hammond, former Delphi chief, and now the prosecutor's investigator, Steve Mullins, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman, Detectives Jay Harper, Dave Vito, and Brian Harshman, along with members of the United States Marshal Service, specifically Agent Jeremy Clinton and Agent Bill Culfers. With them today is Dan McClain, the U.S. Marshal, appointed U.S. Marshal. Our state police analyst, our scientist from many different disciplines within our laboratory division, Mrs. Kathy Shank, for your incredible dedication to detail, and to so many others that I know I've missed. I really believe that Abby and Libby would be proud of you for standing strong, even in the face of immense pressure and perpetual criticism. Some of these individuals have postponed retirement, passed on promotional opportunity, have dedicated personal time away from their families, given up nights, weekends, and holidays, all while in the pursuit of accountability for Abby and Libby. I know that today's announcement will not diminish your resolve, and I hope you have found just a bit of peace in this most complicated world. This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day. Today is not that day. This investigation is far from complete, and we will not jeopardize its integrity by releasing or discussing documents or information before the appropriate time. Prosecutor Nick McClellan, of course, will share additional information about what we can and cannot say, and also explain to you why the probable cause affidavit is temporarily sealed by the court and not available. And by the way, he has been a tremendous, tremendous asset to this team. I'm yet again asking you for your patience and please your understanding while our system of due process works. Also remember that all persons arrested are presumed innocent. All persons arrested are presumed innocent. You all will have an innate desire to subjectively interpret and then report what you think. We in the law enforcement realm cannot, and you should never allow us to, talk about what we think concerning facts, but rather discuss and share at the right time what it is we know. The time will come when additional details can be released. But again, today is not that day. It's about Abby and Libby, their families, and this community, this nation, and even our planet. The prosecutor has been very clear with law enforcement about what his expectations are, about what can and cannot be released, shared, or discussed. So we will, of course, comply. If you choose to be critical of our silence, be critical of me, not the front line. These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion. In other words, a guilty verdict. As we move to the next phase of this investigation, I will continue to offer all resources that the ISP has to not only the investigative team I anticipate growing, but also to Prosecutor McClellan as we prepare for the coming months. Again, Nick's been very resolute and very clear, and I'm most grateful for his leadership. And it's going to be really important as we move forward. Please continue offering tips that you would like to share. The many avenues to report will remain open and will be available to all. Please continue doing that. In closing, I stand before you in this church and very place where we held our first briefing nearly 6 years ago, and just hours after the murders of Abby and Libby. Right here. Pulling in today, I wasn't really sure what emotion I would experience. But peace came over me And I didn't expect that to happen. And I hope all of you, with all the different responsibilities you have from around the planet today, have felt some of that as well. But remember, we're not done. I think what we all have experienced proves that together there's nothing we cannot do. But more importantly, giving of ourselves, all of us, giving of ourselves matters more than what we could ever receive. Abby and Libby, though in death, have had a profound effect on so many of us, on how we live, and as importantly, who we all should be. I would now like to introduce to you my friend and the Carroll County Sheriff, Tom Lidsby, for his remarks. Sheriff.
Look at that, Tobe actually gets to talk at a press conference.
I believe in a God of justice and righteousness. Today, I believe that same God has provided us with justice for Abby and Libby. As Sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, I want to publicly and sincerely thank each individual who played a role in helping us during this 5.5-year investigation. Whether it was in an investigative capacity, providing tips, cards or letters of suggestions or encouragement, phone calls, and thousands of other countless ways of communicating. I earnestly thank those who prayed for this moment in time. We now move forward through the Indiana criminal justice system, allowing the system to provide its due diligence and process in providing that justice which is owed Abby and Libby, their families, and this community. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Nicholas McClellan. I'm the Carroll County Prosecutor. And before we get started, I want to reiterate some of the things that Sheriff Lidsby and Superintendent Carter stated. I first want to thank both of them. They've been a great support to my office throughout this investigation. They've always been there for a phone call and always been willing to help a hand or a line of assistance to me and my office during this investigation. I want to thank the team behind me. This is the Homicide Task Force team that we've put together. Thank them and thank their families for being so understanding for the many nights they've worked away from their families, away from their children. There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy a first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence to formulate a PC that we submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. This investigation is still very ongoing. We're keeping the tip line open, the tip email open. We encourage everybody to continue to call in tips, not only about Richard Allen, but about any other person that you may have. For that reason, and for the nature of this case, the probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court. I've been very clear to everybody that per the court order, we cannot talk about the evidence that's in the probable cause or the evidence that's in the charging information. That will become evident to you at some point and it'll be released, but right now is not that day. The day is about Abby and Libby, focusing on them. Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's entered a preliminary plea of not guilty. The matter's been set for a pretrial on January 13th at 9 a.m., 2023, and a trial date of March 20th, 2023 at 9 a.m. He is presumed innocent. We will have an opportunity and day in court when we can present the evidence that we have against him. But until that day, he is presumed innocent. I want to open up to a few limited questions from the audience. But again, keep in mind, we are not going to talk about the evidence that we have in this case or about the charging information. We cannot. Those things have been sealed by the court. And so I want to open up a few questions.
Prosecutor, when did Richard Allen become a suspect? And do you think he acted alone?
Again, that's part of the investigation, so I'm not going to talk about those things. What I can say is that we have probable cause established by the court for his arrest, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond. I'm sorry? Again, that gets into the evidence we have of the investigation, and I know from everybody it's frustrating. I know everybody, not only reporters, but the family, everybody wants to know more information. I understand it's frustrating, but My goal is to maintain the integrity of this case.
Superintendent Carter, you had said that you believe that you had spoken to the suspect or the suspect's family 2 years ago. Is this man one of those people?
Again, that's, I appreciate the question, but we're getting into the timeline of events, and today's not the time to do that.
Can you talk about how rare it is?
Yeah, today's not the day to do that. Today's not the day to do that. Plus, we want to make sure everything is sealed, but Judge Gold disagreed, thank gosh. And then we also don't want cameras in the courtroom. So that's not going to be the day to do it either. They don't ever want us to know any of the info. That's concerning. It's like, no, we'll tell you when we arrest somebody. Oh, we arrested somebody. Nope, we're gonna keep it all close to our vest.
We were almost in tears pretty much when we started off this press conference. Can't imagine how emotional it is for everybody that's worked on this case. What was your conversation first like with the family and when we were able to tell them we finally got the suspect?
It was a very personal moment for me, and I think it was a very personal moment for them, for all of us that have had interaction with the family. We developed a relationship that I think is going to last at least one lifetime, and maybe a second. So it was a very, very, very sad yet a very humbling experience.
You asked for tips, you detective work, it was a reward for $325,000. This all come together to make this nexus, the combination of all three things that led us to this day, was it one or the other?
Eventually, you'll be able to see what led us to this day. Again, today's not that day. To include the reward, you mentioned that, Raphael, about the reward itself. And again, very premature for us to talk about that. There's still a tremendous amount of work to do.
What would you say that Abby and Libby have taught you in depth that we can remain to continue on with it?
I think probably resilience and understanding the value of each and every day. That today was the day, but I didn't anticipate they ever thought today would be their day. And I feel like I've known them for a long time. Excuse me?
Do you assume there's any other individuals involved in this case?
We haven't closed the door on the investigation. And so that's why we keep the tip line and the tip email open. And so we're not presuming anything at this point, but we're going to continue to take tips, continue to take any information anybody has. And as we've done with all the information we've gathered, we're going to look at that and examine that and see where it leads us.
I love that statement. They ask, are you guys looking at anybody else? And he says, we're not closing the door on that. We're not closing the door on that. Part of the reason he states that he wanted everything sealed was because they weren't closing the door on that and that they were still very actively investigating all of this. That's not a surprise. Let's be very clear. And I've talked about this on other streams. Just because they arrest the person doesn't mean the investigation stops. They don't have everything that they need right when they arrest the person. They're still investigating. We know that they put the search warrant out and so on and so forth. But it was just a very interesting thing to me that he's like, no, we're not closing the door on that. And then wants everything sealed. And then I think it's Carter's statement afterward. I don't know what news clip that's on, but he said something like I believe that Richard Allen is the guy. Or some, oh shit, I'm going to say that wrong. Yeah, this is the prosecutor. This is McClelland. You've heard his name in the 136-page document a lot.
Explain the law. You've asked the court, based on this investigation, that these documents should remain out of the public view. Can you explain, without getting into the details of what's in the documents? Well, this is not regular. Usually a public hearing is held. We should be able to see all the documents, right?
Sure.
You made a decision. Can you explain your decision as to why you believe that for the next 30 days, no one in this room should have access to those records?
Sure. It is unusual. We don't do it very often in all the cases that we handle here in Carroll County. We did it in this case because the investigation is still open. And while all cases are important, the nature of this case has some extra scrutiny with it. And so my office, felt it was important to seal those records. There will be a public hearing on whether or not those records are going to remain sealed or not. There'll be public notice for that hearing so that everyone can attend, but there will be a hearing to determine whether or not they're going to stay sealed. But for now, to me, it's about protecting the integrity of this case. I want to have an opportunity at some point to have an opportunity in court to explain the evidence and for that not to be tarnished or tainted or anything like that. Again, he's presumed innocent. And so it was important for me in this case to do that. Hold on just a minute. We're not going to comment on that right now as part of the investigation. Again, we just encourage everybody to continue to call in tips if they have them about anybody, and we'll examine those tips.
For you guys to have searched nationwide for nearly 6 years, going all over the place, only to find your guy, down the street from your office.
That's a hard question to answer. It's a mixed emotions. I've been watching the news all weekend like everybody else has, and I think a lot of the members of the public said it right. It's bittersweet. It's a step in the right direction. It's concerning that he's a local guy. So I think just different emotions. Again, this is a step in the right direction. This is the first step into getting into court and having a trial. And so.
All right. That concludes our press conference today. Shortly, I will be releasing a press release that will have his photo and a couple more details that'll also be here for handout. That'll also be on the Indiana State Police Lafayette Post Facebook page. Right after this press conference, I'm going to send it out. There's also hard documents in the back. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today, and be safe as you travel home.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. I don't know. It's interesting looking back on things, knowing what we know now, and they do not want to give anything. We knew that before. We knew they didn't want to give anything, but wow, it makes me feel like there's a lot being hidden, and I did not even think about before I even went live today. I didn't think, like, why was the prosecutor there in 2019 doing that press conference like that when he's sitting there saying, I'm not part of the investigation. I don't tell anybody what to do, but yet here I am and telling everybody what to do. Hi, Boxer Mom. Oh, thank you. It makes me very nervous. It makes me nervous, my King of Kings. It makes me that this is essentially, I'm not convinced that Richard Allen isn't the guy. What I'm convinced of right now is this investigation, there's just no way. There's no way that they can be doing what they're doing at this point. Like, how is he sitting in a prison? Well, that's already unheard of. How are they saying that they have all of this evidence when we're now hearing, based on their depositions, and I've said it before, the defense can pull whatever pieces from the depositions they want, so we have to wait until the full deposition is out to make a clear-cut decision, because bits and pieces, chunks here and there, it creates the narrative, which is what the prosecutor is trying to do, which is what the defense is trying to do, and I still fall somewhere in the middle, but the lies and the secrecy. And I'm sorry, but that defense document yesterday really put things into a whole different ballgame for me. How do they have this professor's quote unquote name, but they don't have his name? But then he's like, I'm sorry, it took me 3 to 4 weeks to sit down with you. And then the professor that they supposedly talked to is now saying, like, it's just so mind-boggling. It's so mind-boggling to me. Yeah, Robert Ives wasn't allowed to open his mouth in 2017. I think RA is the guy, but I agree the secrecy and the botched investigation will hurt the case. That's where I'm at. I feel like I can't even say that I think that RA is the guy or not the guy, which is why I really am. I mean, overall, even when I have my own opinion, like a solid opinion, I'm totally okay with anybody else's opinion. I can't say one way or the other because there's no clear path that says, yes, this is him. So I've said this before too, is that when they put the PCA out, I was like, okay, this isn't really a lot, but then we knew that they had the search warrant and they were getting all the other evidence from the house. They still were going to they had to process all of that. I was like, they're going to come. I really kind of felt like, okay, they probably do have the right guy. Here's my faith in law enforcement. It took them a long time, but they probably do have the right guy. They're going to get more evidence, and the PCA doesn't have everything because they haven't even tested everything yet. When we get to trial, we're going to see all the evidence that they have, and we're going to be on a clear path that this is the right dude. This is where my mind was for many, many months since the arrest of Richard Allen. Now I'm just like, I don't trust their investigation. I don't trust them. So, that's why I'm like, if you're totally okay and you think that Richard Allen is the guy, I totally get it. But I think Squeaky Wheel, like you really believe like that RA is the right guy. Richard Allen is the right man. But you also realize like they fucked shit up. I mean, like, and that's going to be an issue. Somebody had mentioned earlier that Kathy Allen had filed for divorce. I've not heard that. I've heard that she's still actually going to all of his hearings. She was at one of the conversations that he was having with one of his meetings he was having with his attorneys, like in August or early September. I've not heard that she actually filed for divorce. So I think she's still standing by her man. See, Squeaky Wheel, I really struggle with confessions, and simply because literally an entire thing I had to write about was like 20 pages long, was on false confessions and how easily they happen. And the situations that now, am I going to say, I absolutely believe that these Odinites were in there and they were threatening him. That's not what I'm saying, but I do believe that people falsely confess. And I've said this too, like if I walk into a police station right now and I say, hey, I killed my neighbors, they can't go, oh my gosh, we're going to indict you for murder because you said you killed your neighbors. They actually have to have evidence that shows that I killed my neighbors. They can't just go off of what I said because of false confessions and my constitutional rights. So yes, I think that is a big deal. I think it's a big deal that he confessed, and I'll go with what Lynn, because Lynn is always in here and she's like, nope, I need the receipts. I need the receipts before I believe anything. And I understand that. I really do. And that's something that I would say, like, I need the receipts. I want to hear those calls. I want to hear exactly what he says. I want to hear exactly what's happening. And then there's a weird thing that happens after that. They say, like, that he wasn't calling her anymore. Like, did he tell her? Okay, I don't. And once again, I don't know this. This is just my brain, and I'm thinking out loud. People who go to prison and people who think they're gonna die and people who think they're done, like, yep, they caught me, even whether I did it or didn't do it. I think that there's something to the fact that people try to push their loved ones away because they don't want them to have to deal with that in their life. Now, is that the circumstance here? I don't know. But I want to hear the calls. The dogs are starting to wrestle. That's when you know I've been on here and they're like, okay, we're done laying here and being nice. We're going to start wrestling. Yeah, if Kathy got up and said, yeah, that looks just like him, then I think that would be a really big deal. He absolutely is in danger. Like I said, I'm not sold that he's not the guy, but I am not sold that he is the guy. And I want to be sold that he is the guy before we sentence him to life in prison or a death sentence. I got to be sold here. And I'm not sold. If those depositions literally say, hey, yeah, we have nothing. We have no DNA tying him. We have no electronics tying him. We've got nothing that ties him besides this bullet. And the fact that, mere presence is a thing. He says he was there, but that's also not prosecutable. You can't just say, hey, you were there, so I'm going to go ahead and charge you. I'm not, like I said, I'm not. Squeaky Wheel, seriously? I hope you don't really think that, because I don't think it has to do with anything about protecting a guy. I think it has to do with the way that our justice system is supposed to work. You have to, he is innocent until proven guilty. They have to prove him guilty. The prosecutors and the investigators have to prove him guilty. They're leading me away instead of leading me towards. But we're not at trial yet. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. And I'm okay. Like I said, I'm totally okay with anybody who has a different opinion than me. I'm absolutely okay if you think he did it. I'm absolutely okay if you think that he didn't do it. You're welcome here at anytime. Because here's the thing, and what I've realized in doing true crime for so long is the next case, we might agree, and then the case after that, we could totally disagree. But I still like all of you anyway, and I want you to be here. So we just have to stay respectful to each other. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. We've been here for 3.5 hours. We did make it through all of the press conferences, which I'm pretty impressed that we actually did. I wasn't sure that we were going to. And so I'm hoping, I believe I should be able to be on tomorrow, and I want to go through the search warrant for Ron Logan's, the probable cause for Richard Allen, the search warrant for Richard Allen, the lawsuit from Thomas, which I think is a big deal that a lot of people kind of just sweep over. So I want to go through some court documents tomorrow. So I hope you guys will join me for that and stay as lovely as you were this evening. And I don't have to block anybody else. Like I said, I could care less if you agree with me or not. I just want, I only expect kindness. Can we discuss the last phone thing at 2:39? We can. Let's do it tomorrow. Remind me tomorrow, because there's some differing opinions on that last 2:39 a.m. ping, and we should talk about it. I'm gonna go actually get dinner for the family, but once again, I know that you guys have 1,000 other places you could be, and you choose to spend your time with me, and I appreciate each and every single one of you, whether you agree with me or not. As long as you're kind, I appreciate you. And I will see you guys tomorrow, and thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.